Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Let you conquer the abyss, and you become the king of the abyss. Chapter 41. You think you can't snatch it away if no one wants it. No, who are you? After the death mage said something along the lines, he suddenly realized something was wrong and said angrily, "You are not a sword-wielding person, so don't meddle in other people's business." As soon as he saw Chu Ran's outfit, he knew that this must be a passerby. He is neither a member of the sword-holding division nor an aborigine of Tianmen City. Apart from the fact that his strength is a bit unclear, he doesn't seem to be an enemy. "I don't care about other people's business," Chu Ran said strangely. "Kill this big-headed dragon and leave." After saying that, he hit it again with the stick. After receiving 3 critical hits in a row and being suppressed by the weakening effect of the Abyss Kingship, the giant dragon finally let out a scream. The death attribute dragon, which originally didn't know what fear was as panicked as a rabbit, struggling crazily, and even wanted to actively cut off the connection with the death mage. The relationship between the two is more like a cooperative contract than a master-servant relationship. It comes through summons. If one party cuts off the connection, it can return to the abyss. Don't fight. If you have something to say, please say it. You don't want to meddle in other people's business, and we are not enemies. If you have any conditions, just make them. Anything you want. The death mage's face was full of pain. Once the dragon cuts off contact, he will have no way to summon him again in the future. Such a top-notch abyss creature cannot be caught casually. It was a waste of money, he couldn't bear it. Chu Ran ignored him, breathed into his hand, stared at the dragon and murmured, "So hard, what level of monster is it?" Abyss Gaze activates. Black Abyss Demonic Dragon. LV 207. Skills: Abyss Breath, Dragon Power Shock, Fatal Charge, Death Roar. It's no wonder the level is so high. Then you need to use some means. Chu Ran carried a big stick with a chicken leg and released the smashing characteristic. The next attack will definitely hit a critical hit. This trait also works on your own skills. Abyss Annihilation. Boom. The wound on the dragon's head seemed to be torn open by some invisible force in an instant, and was penetrated directly. Most of the head was torn off, and the dragon's eyes that were originally shining with blue light immediately dimmed, and the huge body fell downwards like a meteorite. Boom. The dragon's corpse looked like a big mountain. An unknown number of monsters were crushed to death on the spot, as well as members of the Abyss sect. Chu Ran's body lit up with an upgrade light, flashing a few times in a row, directly reaching level 59. Obtain 4,200 bloodline points. 42 properties are accounted for. Half of it was strength, half was defense, and it was squandered. Chu Ran showed a satisfied expression. Level 207 monsters are fat. More importantly, this monster seems to have some background, and it has many bloodline points for thieves. Dare to kill my dragon. You're looking for death. The death mage is crazy. Both of his eyes are red. His strongest contracted creature was slaughtered like this. Although it had no effect on him, the feeling of emptiness made him almost crazy. "I'm going to skin you and cramp you today and feed it to the abyss demonic wolf." He waved the bone staff and said angrily, "Soul screams." A harsh and unpleasant sound suddenly sounded, echoing on the battlefield. Layers of sound waves visible to the naked eye erupted from in front of the death mage, rushing straight towards him. Even the Yaoguang sword master frowned and couldn't help but retreated. He reminded loudly, "This is a mental shock. Be careful." Psychic shock. Chu Ran looked at the layers of sound waves passing through his body. He felt noisy and a little irritated. He rushed over and gave him a stick. "You are a chicken. Silence your voice. State." The death mage was hit directly on the side of the face by the stick, spinning and flying out, making several big craters on the ground. But the death mage obviously couldn't be killed like that. He got up in disgrace and showed a gloomy expression. "Boy, you have successfully angered me. Do you dare to leave your name? The old man is very durable." Chu Ran looked at him condescendingly, nodded and said, "Okay, you can be regarded as the strongest opponent I have ever met. I don't want to change my name, but I don't want to change my surname. My name is Shu Jin, so don't get the wrong person." "Shu Jin, I remember." The death mage raised the bone staff in his hand and said coldly, "You should be proud to die under this move." He's about to release his forbidden skills. "Children, hide for a moment. You can't handle this." The master of the Yaoguang sword flew up to Chu Ran. Her long skirt was torn in many places, and her fair and delicate skin had several wounds. However, she said with a serious expression, "With your ability, you can escape into Tianmen City. Go ahead." Chu Ran looked her over, not because he wanted to take advantage, but because he suddenly remembered something and asked, "How is your condition now? Are you disabled? We still have the strength to fight." The Yaoguang sword master thought he was asking whether he was sure, and of course he couldn't show any cowardice. He smiled and said, "You have helped a lot by killing that giant dragon. Don't worry, the human war god will soon take action to calm the battle. Come on, let's go." "Then it's disabled." Chu Ran nodded, put away the chicken drumstick, and took out the scepter of the desert god of death. This is a legendary unleveled piece of equipment. The most important thing is that the characteristics of this thing are very abnormal. Power of the Desert Death God, legendary, no level limit, type, single two-handed weapon. Features: manipulate life and death, make the designated target swap states, including but not limited to gain and loss, cooldown time 365 days. Swap the states of the designated two parties. It may not be very useful at ordinary times, but at the critical moment, this is a reversal artifact. Chu Ran was too lazy to continue to deal with the old gang, and it was meaningless to cut his attributes one by one, so it was better to try something new. Taboo. Undead Scourge. The Death Mage released his strongest taboo skill. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and countless ghosts were flying, waving their fangs and claws, gathering like a tide. The Yaoguang sword master frowned slightly, holding the Yaoguang sword in his hand, resisting the feeling of weakness, and was about to rush over immediately. Chu Ran also activated the feature of manipulating life and death at this time. Swap the states of the Yaoguang sword master and the death mage. The next second, the Yaoguang sword master felt full of power, and his state almost returned to the peak. The dark clouds in the sky also dissipated in an instant, and countless ghosts disappeared faster than when they came. The death mage was stunned. Why did he become weak? He waved his bone staff wildly and jumped up and down. Scourge of the Undead. Scourge of the Undead. Undead, what did you do? He immediately realized that it was Chu Ran who was doing it. Apart from this weird guy who suddenly appeared, who else could do this? Stop talking. Chu Ran swung the scepter. Lao Dang, let's go. Brother, you have something to say. The death mage's expression changed. Seeing Chu Ran rushing over with the scepter, knowing that he was about to suffer a serious blow, his tone immediately softened a lot. We have no grievances in the past and no enmity in the near future. There is no need to fight for life or death. I am also following orders. We are all working part-time, there is no need to make things difficult for each other. He waved his hands repeatedly, trying to influence Chu Ran. Pity. In Chu Ran's eyes, he was just an attribute point, and he had no intention of talking to him at all, so he stabbed him with the scepter, directly punching a bloody hole in his body. The death mage screamed. He quickly took out his life-saving tools, covered his whole body with purple light, forming an indestructible protective shield, then turned around and ran away. Still want to leave? The master of the Yaoguang sword flew up in an instant, and the Yaoguang sword slashed out countless sword lights, covering the death mage's head and face. The situation suddenly reversed. She was beaten all over the ground just now, and now it was the death mage's turn to run away. However, he is a top professional and a high-level member of the death cult. He has a lot of life-saving treasures in his hands. All the attacks from the Yaoguang sword master were blocked by the purple protective shield. These abyss believers are really difficult to deal with. They have too many cards. The Yaoguang sword master showed dissatisfaction and was about to use the forbidden skill. What are you doing? Robbing someone's head? Are you not just trying to avenge a favor with an enemy? Chu Ran urged Abyss Wings to overtake her by one position, and said in a bad tone, I have already helped you save your life, so it's inappropriate to want to steal my head, right? Go back a little bit, this old Dengyang will I kill. What? The Yaoguang sword master was startled. Then he said dumbfounded, Shu Jin, even if you have some skills, you can't be so crazy, right? He is a 7th level professional. Do you think you can kill him for sure? Chu Ran's expression was a little strange when he heard her calling him Shu Jin. Of course, the Yaoguang sword master can't see his expression now. If you have anything to say, we'll talk about it later. People will run away. Chu Ran immediately activated the wings of the abyss and chased after the Death Mage. As soon as the leader of the Death Mage ran away, the battlefield here was actually defeated. The dragon corpse crushed countless members of the Abyss sect to death, and the beast tide was frightened by the remaining power of the dragon corpse and ran around on the ground. Can't gather into a pile. So Chu Ran didn't need to pay attention to anything else. He should kill the Death Mage first. With my current attack power, it is definitely unrealistic to kill such a top professional instantly. His turtle shell alone cannot be easily broken. Weaken his attributes one by one, slowly grinding them. Too slow. During the flight, Chu Ran was also thinking about how to kill this old ghost. Even if the Abyss King's power is weakened based on percentage, it is still a bit difficult to deal with such top professionals. More importantly, this Lao Dang is not stupid. He realized that something was not right and immediately created a full shell for himself. Even the Yaoguang Sword Master couldn't break it. It was clearly some kind of temporary invincible defense item. Even if I cut his attributes into negative numbers, it would be difficult to kill him. But since he has taken action, it will definitely not work if he doesn't take advantage of his illness to kill him. Thinking of this, Chu Ran's heart moved and he pointed at Yaoguang Sword Master. Lao Dang, why don't we two join forces? I've fallen in love with this woman. You help me get her. I'll help you occupy Tianmen City. If you let Abyss the big shot wants to make me a lord or something like that. The Yaoguang Sword Master showed a dumbfounded expression. Although she felt a little awkward, she also knew that Chu Ran was trying to paralyze the other party. She was not telling the truth, but she just glared at Chu Ran with anger and strangeness, gripped the Yao Light Sword and chased after him. When the Death Mage, who was running desperately in front, heard this, his speed continued, but he said, "Okay, we have to discuss it. As long as you stop chasing me, I will definitely tie up the Yaoguang Sword Master and give it to you." "Ah, can a veteran like you beat her?" Chu Ran was full of disbelief. The necromancer sneered, "You saw it just now. This woman is no match for me. She would have died long ago if you didn't mind your own business. Don't you just rely on that fat-headed dragon. I killed you. Why are you pretending?" Chu Ran said. "Less tricks and more sincerity. If we can cooperate happily, we can get closer and closer in the future. When will Abyss make any big move? Please take me with you. I also want to do something for Abyss." "Okay, anyone who wants to fall into the arms of the Abyss is a brother and sister," Death Mage said, "but I'm a little busy right now and I don't have time for the time being. Let's talk about it another day, right?" When Chu Ran heard this, why did this sound familiar? Isn't this what he said when he was being chased by Zhou Long? "Old man, are you playing this trick with me?" Chu Ran showed a half-smiling expression. "That means there's nothing to talk about. You don't want to talk to me properly." Death Mage also snorted coldly. Chu Ran said, "This way, you remove the fool's shell, and I promise not to kill you. I just need to pay you some money to buy your life." "Little brat, do you think I'm a fool? If I remove the protective shield, you will be the first to kill me." The Death Mage cursed loudly and ran away even faster. After all, he was a top professional. Even if he had to endure the disability of the Yaoguang Sword Master, he could still escape. During the pursuit, Chu Ran had already tried using Abyss King power to weaken him, and also using Abyss Annihilation to blow up the protective shield, but neither was of much use. I can only say that this kind of real top-level strongman still has something. If you don't listen to my advice, don't blame me for being sneaky. Chu Ran lost his patience and prepared to release the Abyss Kingship. Then he used the Abyss Grip to slap the old man into the ground, and he couldn't get him out. It doesn't matter if there is a big noise. He must be killed today. At this moment, in the direction where the Death Mage fled, there was a sudden earth-shaking sound. Like a big sun rising, the originally dim sky instantly became as bright as day. A huge fireball rose in the sky, released a very terrifying temperature. When the Yaoguang Sword Master saw this scene, he immediately stopped, showing a relieved expression, and said, "It's over." It was the God of War who took action. God of War, 8th turn professional. Chu Ran also looked at the huge fireball and said, "What is he fighting with?" The Yaoguang Sword Master said patiently, "It should be a top-level Abyss creature." Apart from that kind of existence, there is no creature on this battlefield that is worthy of the god of war's action. I see. Chu Ran nodded, feeling a little glaring, and said, the god of war's action is a bit too exaggerated. The Yaoguang sword master didn't say anything, but smiled helplessly, and then seemed to have received some news. His face changed slightly and said, the creature didn't die, it escaped with serious injuries. This is bad. No. Chu Ran pointed to the death mage in front of him who was holding a turtle shell and muttering, if we don't chase him, this old thing will also escape with serious injuries. The Yaoguang sword master took a look. The old monster, the death mage, has indeed run away. She shook her head and sighed. There is no point in pursuing it any further. Why is it pointless? To cut the grass, you have to get rid of the roots. Chu Ran disagreed and was too lazy to talk nonsense to her. Sister, if you don't want to contribute, then find a place to rest by yourself. I'll be busy first. Shu Jin. Hey, Shu Jin. The Yaoguang sword master wanted to persuade him to stay, but Chu Ran had already flown away. Seeing this scene, the Yaoguang sword master was quite helpless. After all, you are too young, why don't you understand the principle of not chasing poor enemies? A strong man like the death mage might have some hidden cards. If he is really cornered, he can easily drag his enemies to death together. Yaoguang, how are you doing here? The flame god sword master rushed over, first observed the Yaoguang sword master's injuries, and then said, I just saw you chasing the death mage with others. Who is that person? Is he the backup man of the god of war palace? No. The Yaoguang sword master briefly described what happened just now, and the flame god sword master was stunned for a moment. He directly killed the death mage's dragon, and also changed your state with that of the death mage. How did he do it? How do I know? Anyway, he is probably a top-level hidden profession. In addition, the state swap between me and the death mage should be the characteristics of his weapon. The Yaoguang sword master could only tell what he saw and then analyze it a little. Top profession, said the flame god sword master. There is news from the Tianmen City Guard team that there is a top hidden profession on the battlefield that is hunting the beast tide. Is it him? The admissions officers from all the major universities are going crazy. In order to snatch this genius, they are probably going to fight. The flame god sword master's tone was filled with emotion. But he didn't have any other ideas. The human race has another genius, which is a good thing. The Yaoguang sword master recalled Shu Jin's performance and said with deep sympathy, if I were a school admissions officer, I would break my head for him. Once a genius of this level can recruit his own power, in 10 years the school should be like this. He's proud of it. You should be careful, don't let him be targeted by the people of the Abyss religion. Once those madmen know of his existence, they will definitely send people to hunt him down. The flame god sword master had just finished speaking. The Yaoguang sword master's expression changed. That's too bad. The death mage asked his name earlier and he has been exposed. Huh, did he reveal his name? Yes, he said his name is Shu Jin. This old monster, the death mage, might have already passed on the news. The Yaoguang sword master said in a deep voice, we have to protect him. Send someone immediately to investigate the name Shu Jin. This looks like a fake name. You have all seen with your own eyes how that boy played with an elder of the Earth Spirit Society. He glued fur on him and he was smarter than a monkey. The death mage asked him for his real name, and he could give it to him. The admissions officer of Donghua University vowed, there is no need to investigate Shu Jin himself or his classmates, especially those who have a bad relationship with him. This guy must be hiding among them. Unlike those members of the sword-holding division who were busy after receiving orders, they, the admissions officers, were not in a hurry at all. They have seen more pictures and already have a certain understanding and judgment about the mysterious top professional. He has a cautious personality and knows the importance of protecting himself. No information has been leaked so far, how could he tell his real name to the enemy? Let them go about their business, and let's just sit back and wait for them to be cut off. The school's support will be here soon. By the way, is that guy still chasing the death mage? Several admissions officers were chatting and laughing, and they were not nervous at all. They even helped the sword holder maintain the detection light screen and looked at the two figures. Yes, this guy is determined to kill. It seems he must kill the other party. How courageous. He is only level 50 at most. He chased a strong man of over 200 levels for several streets. I never dared to dream of such a big thing. He definitely has restraint skills, but I don't know what the specific effect is. Maybe it's a top-notch passive that specifically restrains the power of the abyss. At present, all abyssal creatures will become weak in front of him, even the Yaoguang sword master who was seriously injured. All dragons are no exception. Guys like the death mage who have received the blessing of the abyss are also infected with the power of the abyss, so they should be restrained. Several people were analyzing the situation and still discussing. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy touched his chin. With such a strong skill, the power of the abyss is equal to all living beings in front of him. It's a pity that the death mage has too many life-saving cards. Killing such a top powerhouse is not that easy. Simple. Everyone nodded, agreeing with this view. However, aren't they rushing to the position where the god of war will take action? The fireball is still hanging. But the next second someone noticed the problem. The death mage was obviously heading towards the fireball hanging in the air. The huge fireball hanging in the sky like the sun, emitting blazing heat, was a spectacle left behind by the god of war. Moreover, it also has very terrifying power. Even if you are a rank 7 professional, you will be killed instantly if you get close to him. The death mage is running all the way, seemingly without any direction, but he is actually running towards the fireball over there. This old fool. The admissions officer of Yuqing Academy understood. His protective shield has the ability to be temporarily invincible. I'm afraid he wants to use the remaining power of the god of war to harm that kid. Such a stupid trap, no one will fall for it, right? Someone said weakly. But seeing the figure wearing a mask and the black wings shaking behind him, everyone lost confidence. This kid is chasing fiercely. It's obvious that he is crazy. This is so exciting with all the twists and turns. The admissions officer of Donghua Academy wiped his sweat. Little brother, stop chasing me. Let's talk about it. Tell me, what good will you get from chasing me? I'm not an abyss monster, so I can't give you experience. Or you can just be more straightforward. What do you want? Skill book, advanced equipment, top-level props, or blue star coins? As long as you tell me the number, I can consider it. The death mage was wrapped in a purple protective shield. He had tried to communicate with Chu Ran in several ways along the way. But Chu Ran was too murderous. He agreed with his mouth, but then he started a big fight, thinking of ways to kill him. You're not a beauty. Why are you telling me such trivial conditions? Chu Ran sneered. The death mage was almost pissed off and cursed. I told you to tie up a beauty. You didn't want one. Yes, I don't want you to tie one up, I can tie one up myself. Chu Ran laughed strangely. So you are useless. You are going too far. Don't force me to fight you. The death mage was extremely angry. Chu Ran curled his lips in disdain. If you don't agree, stop and touch me. See if I stab you or not. It's over. One of the two ran away and the other chased, but they didn't know how far they ran. But the surrounding temperature is getting hotter and hotter. The heat wave distorted the air, and Chu Ran also noticed that some carbonized monster corpses were lying on the ground. This should be an unlucky monster that was wiped out by the remaining power of the god of war. At this time they were very close to the big fireball. Chu Ran had known for a long time that the death mage wanted to lure him here. He was not a fool. Of course he knew that he couldn't handle it. The reason why he was still chasing him was because he wanted to use the fireball to kill this old man. Not only Lao Dang himself wanted to use his strength, but Chu Ran had also been thinking about how to kill him. This fireball is indeed a bit exaggerated. When I saw it from such a distance just now, it felt like there was a sun hanging on it. Looking at it now from this distance, my eyes. Chu Ran was almost blinded by the strong light. The death mage in front also kept his head lowered, not daring to look directly at the fireball. Level 8 professionals have cards, and they can create a sun with just one move. Lao Dang, why are you planning to embrace the sun? Are you tired from running? Take a rest. Chu Ran called him. The death mage refused to stop at all, and just said coldly, Baby, I can't do anything to you, but I don't believe it. Can you withstand the skills of the god of war? He had attacked Chu Ran several times just now, but found that it did not cause any damage. He guessed that Chu Ran must have a passive ability to restrain the power of the abyss. The two of them were fighting each other as if they were wearing turtle shells, and neither could do anything to the other. If Chu Ran hadn't chased him fiercely and insisted on making him proud, the Death Mage would never have risked coming here. Mainly his shield is a prop effect, and the time is coming soon. Even if he doesn't take this risk, Chu Ran will be killed by Chu Ran when the shield disappears. Shu Jin, I'll give you one last chance. If you accept the money to buy your life, you can get away as far as you want. We can't be in conflict with each other. Otherwise, continue to chase us, and no one will survive. They all must die. The Death Mage's eyes turned red. He threw his bone staff backward. Chu Ran caught it. Dragon King Osteotomy Staff Legendary Level Restriction. LV 195. Type, Single Two-Handed Weapon. Strength plus 955. Spirit plus 5788. Endurance plus 872. Lucky 30. Characteristic 1. The Curse of the Dragon King reduces the holder's luck. The lower the luck, the stronger the spirit opens when less than 1 point of luck. Feature 2. The Dragon King's anger can summon the Dragon King's soul bone to assist in combat. LV 160. Characteristic 3. Dragon Soul greatly enhances the user's three-dimensional attributes, reduces the singing time of all magic spells by 35%, and reduces the cooling time by 20%. Chu Ran was a little dizzy when he saw the three major characteristics. This is a legendary staff. This old man is really rich. If you sell it yourself, you can probably just lie down. But the Dragon King's curse made Chu Ran amused. Good guy, you're just trying to add luck to spirit. Are you playing Tianxuan style? Are you just betting on whether your life will be tough or not? No wonder you met me. Retribution is here. Quote. Death Mage gritted his teeth and said, this is considered a deposit. I have more valuable equipment. Do you want it? Hurry up, Shu Jin. Don't tempt me with money. I'm not interested in money. Chu Ran said calmly and put the staff directly into his backpack. The Death Mage happened to turn his head and saw this scene, and his eyelids jumped fiercely. I have never seen such a shameless person. If the human race were all this kind of guys, Abyss would probably have no chance to play, right? I'm afraid those gods will have to tattoo this guy's face on their arms. Shu Jin. Going forward is the skill left behind by the god of war. If my shield can withstand it, you will definitely die. Can your defense skill that specializes in conquering the abyss hold up? Death Mage said in a deep voice. I have another treasure here, you are definitely interested. Lao Dang, I studied in the spring and autumn period. Chu Ran said sternly. Don't give me anything that is unremarkable. The Death Mage was startled. Then he understood what Chu Ran meant and said awkwardly, I'm not showing you rhubarb. Do you want this protective item that can make you invincible for a short period of time? To tell you the truth, this is a treasure gifted by the gods. There are 3 opportunities to use it in total. I have already used it once. The cooling time is 7 days. Use it with you. Buying your life, okay. He took out a purple crystal. It's very convenient to stimulate with thoughts. If you don't need it yourself, you can give it to others, or sell it for money. The value is definitely not lower than my staff, and it is even more precious for the strong. After all, you only have 1 life, so it's worth spending more money on life-saving means. Seeing the purple crystal, Chu Ran immediately took a look at it with abyss gaze and found that it was genuine. He said, you throw the thing over first, and I will see if it is real or fake. Don't think of me as a fool. Death Mage said displeased. We have reached this point. Let's all be sincere. Like you said before, be more sincere and less cliché. They were only a few kilometers away from the huge fireball. Both of them slowed down in unison. The Death Mage does want to talk. And Chu Ran was ready to take action. Of course, my nickname since childhood has been Sincerity. I have always treated people with sincerity. Chu Ran nodded and stretched out his hand to the Death Mage. Throw the things over here, I promise not to kill you. The Death Mage narrowed his eyes and calculated the remaining time of his shield in his mind. There are about 5 seconds left. Throw the things over now, and then activate other defensive skills for yourself to withstand this wave, and then rush directly to the fireball. No matter how bold this kid is, he dare not chase him. Too much time was wasted on the road, and the duration of the shield was not controlled well. Now it has become like this. The death mage is still a little unhappy. But after all, he didn't dare to bet whether Chu Ran could kill him, so he could only say, I hope you can be honest and trustworthy. Well, I will definitely be honest and trustworthy. Chu Ran nodded, with a harmless smile. The death mage threw the crystal directly out, and the next second, the shield on his body was shattered, and he turned around and ran away. The moment Chu Ran caught the crystal, he also released a skill. Grip of the Abyss. The giant hand of the abyss was summoned and went straight to the death mage. To be more precise, as soon as this thing came, it had already slapped the death mage in the palm. The big hand with just one finger was thousands of meters long. Compared with it, the death mage's small body was just like a speck of dust falling into the palm. Ah! The death mage was forced to fly backwards and screamed in shock and anger. He had never seen such a terrible skill. Although the damage was not very high for a top professional like him, it was extremely insulting. Shu Jin, you have no martial ethics. You sneak attack an old man like me. Wait for me, wait for me. The screams of the death mage gradually drifted away. The giant hand of the abyss soon hit the big fireball. It burst into a dazzling light. What a dirty firework. Chu Ran stood in the air, with his hands behind his back, and sighed in a pretended deep way. He didn't dare to open his eyes to look, for fear of blinding himself. Why is there no bloodline point prompt? Isn't this old ghost dead? After waiting for a few seconds, Chu Ran found that he had no bloodline points, so he opened his eyes to look over. The fireball and the giant hand disappeared. The death mage didn't leave any residue. Logically speaking, without the protection of the turtle shell, he should be able to kill this old dang with a single shot of the abyss grip, plus the fireball left by the god of war. Why didn't he give bloodline points? Or was it the fireball left by the god of war that caused the kill, and the head was taken away? Chu Ran touched his chin and thought, always feeling that he had lost 100 million. Forget it, Lao Deng is dead anyway, death is the greatest, just consider it as a gift. Since he had already killed him, Chu Ran didn't care too much, it was no big deal if he lost a little. Turning around, he broke through the air and flew towards the plane meeting place, ready to meet up with the main force. Half an hour after the god of war made his move, the sword master finally showed the quality of the top professional troops of Dragon Country, clearing the beast tide with thunderous means and hunting down the remnants of the Abyss sect. As for the real purpose of their fishing trip, the top Abyss creature standing behind this turmoil was also crippled by the god of war, and escaped with serious injuries. It will not be able to do anything big for at least a few years. Although it was quite different from the result that the god of war mansion had initially expected, it was at least a victory, and those minor details could only be put aside for the time being. On the Great Plain, tens of thousands of students gathered one after another. The teachers accompanying the team and the senior professionals of the guild were counting the number of people. Qi Wenxuan was led to the admissions officers. A black uniformed sword master introduced him. I heard that he was the one who came up with this idea, letting the students contact each other and agree to gather at the Great Plains to avoid the battle in Tianmen City, thus avoiding many casualties. A group of admissions officers looked at Qi Wenxuan. Tisk tisk, he looks big and strong, but he is smart. He is a good candidate. An admissions officer looked Qi Wenxuan up and down, nodded and praised him, and asked, "Are you interested in coming to our war academy? We specialize in training elites on the battlefield. Many of the top professional troops in Dragon Country come to us to recruit people." Okay, what's so great about your war academy? If you ask me, he should come to our wisdom academy. He can't waste his brain. He's obviously a warrior. Do you know how to praise him? Classmates, believe me, our Sword and Shield Academy is the top academy for training warriors. A group of admissions officers from domestic higher education institutions immediately started arguing, all wanting to prove that their own academy is the most suitable for Qi Wenxuan. Seeing Qi Wenxuan being fought over by so many schools, many students showed envious expressions, but those who knew the inside story were not surprised. After all, many of them had to thank Qi Wenxuan. Without his reminder, it was unknown how many students from Baicheng and Haicheng who came to participate in the collective trial would have died. At that time, everyone was in a panic and it was difficult to organize. Some people even forgot about communication and subconsciously fled to Tiananmen City. There were hundreds of people who died in the beast tide along the way. There were also countless people who were injured in internal strife. So most students were not jealous of Qi Wenxuan's treatment, but were secretly annoyed that they didn't have this brain at the time. However, Qi Wenxuan was full of doubts, scratched his head and said, "Teachers, I was selected by the school. No, this is not my credit, it's my buddy, he gave me the idea. I can't impersonate him and take his chance." "Your buddy, where is he?" The admissions officer of the war college blinked, but then smiled. "It doesn't matter, even if the idea was given by someone else, you are not taking the chance. In fact, in order to compensate you students, our colleges have decided to admit all the people who participated in the collective trial this time." "What? All admitted?" A group of students were stunned. The newbies who originally thought that they had performed too poorly and would definitely not have the opportunity to join the school almost jumped up with joy. The crowd of tens of thousands of people instantly burst into deafening cheers. Qi Wenxuan was also very happy, but he thought about it. Where did Ranzi go? I haven't seen him since half an hour ago. Could something have happened? He quickly turned around and saw Chu Ran in the crowd. Chu Ran just waved his hand, signaling him not to make a fuss. Qi Wenxuan seemed a little hesitant. After all, he felt that Chu Ran should not be low-key for such a great contribution. However, this scene was still seen by several other admissions officers. "Is it that young man? Not bad, remember it." The admissions officer of the War Academy laughed. The other people nodded one after another and remembered Chu Ran. Chu Ran was embarrassed. He should have ignored Qi Wenxuan earlier. He really didn't take this little contribution seriously. "If you knew what I did just now, you would be scared to death. No one would believe it if I told them that I was chasing a 7th-turn-old Dang, slashing from Tiananmen City to the south of the plain, and even blew up the sun left by the god of war. What does it mean to not take credit or be arrogant? Learn well and watch carefully. Who is Xu Jin? Xu Jin, come out for a moment." At this time, a gentle female voice sounded. Everyone looked closely and found that it was the turbulent Lin Lan. She held a staff and smiled and said, "Which high school is Xu Jin a student of?" "Well, it seems that there is only one Xu Jin coming from Haicheng this time. The magician from No. 1 middle school," a teacher accompanying the team said hesitantly. Lin Lan smiled faintly and said, "Come out for a moment, I have something good to find you." In the team, Xu Jin swallowed his saliva and tried to control his eyes from looking at Lin Lan's evil, wondering if he was spotted by the secret law society. "Are you Xu Jin?" Lin Lan glanced at Xu Jin and said, "Don't be nervous. I'm looking for you this time. It's from the sword-holding department who wants to know something about the situation. The student named Xu Jin from Baicheng has already checked it out. Now it's our turn in Haicheng. You come with me." Having said that, Lin Lan's eyes were about to light up when he looked at Xu Jin. She knows some inside information. After all, those admissions officers released large-scale detection magic, and the light curtain left behind was placed in the square. She left midway to prepare for the beast wave, but the god of war took action to end the war, and they naturally returned to Tiananmen City. "I finally caught up and saw the mysterious top-hidden professional. I heard that the other party's name is Xu Jin, and he should be hiding among these newbies. The student named Xu Jin in Baicheng has all been questioned. It seems that there is no suitable target, so the only one left is Haicheng." Not surprisingly, the slightly nervous newbie in front of him should be the target that the sword holder is looking for. "Don't worry too much. This is definitely a good thing." Lin Lan laughed and decided to establish a good relationship with this top genius in advance. His attitude was extremely gentle. "What will the sword holder ask you later? You just need to answer truthfully." Quote. As she said that, she subconsciously used a detection magic on Xu Jin. Her expression moved slightly, and she thought to herself, "Why is it only level 8? Is your profession a mage? Isn't it said to be a top hidden profession?" Suppressing the suspicion in her heart, Lin Lan saw that Xu Jin was still in a daze and couldn't help but ask, "Are you clear?" Xu Jin came to his senses and said hurriedly, "It's clear, it's clear." Lin Lan then took Xu Jin to the sword-holding division. Soon, a very serious-looking man in black uniform came over and said, "Are you the last Xu Jin?" This man with cold eyes looked at Xu Jin. Just one look almost made Shu Jin pee his pants. He trembled and said, "Yes, it's me. Hello, boss. I'm Shu Jin. Captain Wu, we have already checked and there is only one person named Shu Jin in number 1 middle school in Haicheng." Lin Lan answered confidently. Yeah, Captain Wu nodded and stared at Shu Jin for a closer look. Comparing it with the figure he saw in the light screen before, he felt that it didn't quite match up and he was much shorter. Then his eyes flashed, and he obviously used his detection skills, and asked calmly, "Are you a mage? Why are you only at level 8? Ah, I didn't have time to level up before." Shu Jin's face was full of embarrassment. "I don't dare to say that I was tricked by the leveling leader. Not to mention the loss of 500,000 blue star coins. He even got beaten up." Captain Wu stared at Shu Jin for a long time, shook his head and said, "Okay, go back first. People from various universities will come to talk to you later." "Captain Wu, this is the last Shu Jin. Don't you want to look at it again?" Lin Lan was anxious. Why did he stop looking at it after only a few glances? Captain Wu said coldly, "Such a coward, how dare he go after the beast tide? Dare he go after the elders of the Earth Spirit Society? Do you think I'm a fool?" Lin Lan was speechless for a moment. She glanced at Shu Jin and couldn't help but said, "Well, maybe this is hiding my clumsiness. Shu Jin, I told you, the sword holder has something good to do with you." Shu Jin said blankly, "I don't know, what on earth is going on? Let him go back." After Captain Wu finished speaking, he turned and left. Lin Lan didn't dare to shout any more. She was afraid of offending the powerful captain of the sword-holding division, let alone a rank 5 big shot. As a third-level vice president of a local guild, I only have the opportunity to say a few words to others. She was extremely angry and glared at Shu Jin. "What's wrong with you? Didn't I tell you? Behave well. You didn't tell me. Just tell me that I will answer whatever the people in the sword-holding department ask." Shu Jin's scalp was numb and he shrank his head. Go, go, go. Lin Lan was furious. "I thought I was getting a chance to make friends with a top talent, but I didn't expect it to happen." However, this matter gradually spread. The sword-holding division is looking for a top hidden profession named Shu Jin, but after searching all the people named Shu Jin in Baicheng and Haicheng, no suitable target was found. It triggered a small-scale discussion. Brother Shu, there's no need to worry, maybe the top hidden profession just thought of a fake name. It's lucky to have a name that happens to happen. At least it shows up in front of boss Lin Lan." Several losers came over to comfort Shu Jin. Shu Jin was so angry that they didn't kill him. "Can you speak? I've offended people." Then, he suddenly thought of what these scoundrels had done to abandon him before, and he became even more angry and said, "Get away from me, you bunch of losers." The losers were suddenly embarrassed. "Wait for Shu Jin to go away." The scoundrel scolded. "I don't know why he is so arrogant. Because he has a second-generation father, he pretends to be a rich second generation every day. He doesn't know that his family has tens of billions of assets. That's right, now we can all go to higher education institutions. When we meet in the future, we won't be able to tell who calls whom brother." A few losers scolded and walked away. Other side. Chu Ran also heard the discussion and thought to himself, "Isn't this related to what I said casually?" Fortunately, this incident did not cause too much trouble. It didn't take long. Each admissions officer had already picked out the students they liked, and the remaining ones were distributed to each family. Then, with the help of the strong men from various universities, a teleportation array was built to go back. Before entering the teleportation array, the admissions officer of Donghua University was pushed out as a representative and said to everyone, "The relevant information about admission will be sent to your communication later. Go back and rest for a while. See you in a month when school starts. I hope what happened today will not leave any shadow on you. After all, our human race has been fighting against the abyss for more than 200 years, and you will be the main force on the battlefield in the future." He paused, looked around at everyone, and said with a smile, "I wish you all good academic success, and help the human race defeat the abyss and regain our homeland as soon as possible." Back to Haicheng, Lin Lan left with a cold face without saying a word. She didn't want to stay here for a second. The Lin family still had a lot of things to do, and the Secret Law Society was sending her messages crazily, making her mood almost explode. Jinglong shook his head and left with several high-level professionals from various guilds. Ranzi, what on earth did you do just now? At this time, Qi Wenxuan came to Chu Ran and asked in a low voice, did you go to do something big? Of course I went to do something big. To tell you the truth, I not only killed several waves of beasts, but also chased a 7th-level professional called Death Mage for a long time. Hey, what would you do without me? Chu Ran put his hands on his waist, his tone was very emotional. Qi Wenxuan stared at Chu Ran blankly, and after a long while, he also sighed, you were really good at bragging, Ranzi. Why don't you say that you fought side by side with the god of war? Can you be more reliable? He was speechless. Chu Ran hesitated and said, strictly speaking, the god of war and I also teamed up once, right? He pushed the death mage onto the fireball, and by the way, pushed and blew up the fireball left by the god of war to pollute the environment. Of course, this can't be blamed entirely on him. You said that the god of war took action, and left a wonder there. What's the matter, are you afraid that others don't know how awesome he is? Chu Ran felt that he had contributed to the purification of the environment. Forget it. Qi Wenxuan hugged Chu Ran's shoulders. As long as you are fine, I am afraid that you will do something stupid. We have agreed to expel the abyss together. You can't leave without waiting for your buddy. Your father will not die. Chu Ran said unhappily. Qi Wenxuan said with a playful smile, but our luck is really good this time. Although we caught up with the invasion of Tianmen City by the Abyss sect, those schools also compensated us afterwards and recruited us all. We can also go to the school for further study in the future. Isn't it wonderful? I am afraid I can wake up with laughter in my dreams. Qi Wenxuan pouted and laughed foolishly. Chu Ran also nodded and said, this is indeed a good thing. At this time, Qi Wenxuan suddenly reacted. Speaking of which, didn't the admissions officers of those schools say that they would send the admission information to our communication? Ranzi, check which school you were recruited by. It would be great if it was a top school. Qi Wenxuan was still dreaming. In fact, many new students have already started to check their communication records. In my heart, I also fantasized that if I was recruited by a top school, I would really rise to the sky and take off on the spot. The resources of top schools must be different from those of other schools. There are big guys everywhere there, and if you throw a brick out, you can smash out a large number of fifth-turn professionals. Even if your awakening profession is a little rubbish, it is a good thing to be able to enter a top school. Chu Ran was urged by Qi Wenxuan for a few words, and he also opened his communication. He is not interested in school life. Enroll in school in a month. Even if he slacked off a bit in monster hunting, he would at least be level 120 and level 4 by then. If he was hardworking enough, he could go to those high-level monster hunting sites overnight. If he lived there directly and didn't leave until he reached level 5, a month would be enough. Although it was harder to level up later, and high-level monsters were not everywhere. But he had a passive guarantee of 10 times the experience, so he would always be ahead of others. His skills that specifically countered the abyss ensured safety and efficiency. After a month, he could become a teacher in the academy. Qi Wenxuan nudged Chu Ran with his elbow. I was admitted to the War Academy, what about you, Ranzi? Chu Ran came back to his senses, looked at his communication, and said, I am from the Wisdom Academy. Hey, it seems that we brothers don't have the luck to go to the top academy. Qi Wenxuan sighed, and then grinned, but it's not a big problem. The War Academy and the Wisdom Academy are not far away, and we can team up when the time comes. Don't think I'm slow in leveling up. Qi Wenxuan whispered. Chu Ran patted him and said, don't worry, you are my eldest son. I will never dislike you no matter who I dislike. Qi Wenxuan exhaled 2 streams of air from his nose and grinned, you won't be arrogant for long. Wait for me to change my mind first. Chu Ran said with a smile, if you want to change your mind, call me Ran Dad and I will take you with me. Get lost. Don't accept charity. By the way, do you still remember the mage from the Fang family? He just contacted me and seems to have participated in our collective trial. At this moment, Qi Wenxuan scratched his head and said, this guy was picked up by the Fang family as soon as he landed, but he asked me to tell you that we should take time to get together tomorrow and find us if there is any good news. Good news. Chu Ran is now allergic to the word good news and shook his head. I'm not interested. Every time he said there was a good news, it was not a serious good thing for him. He must have spent some effort and made a lot of twists and turns. Qi Wenxuan said, I'm not really interested. I'm not the same type as him. If it weren't for his good attitude, I wouldn't bother to talk to him. Chu Ran waved his hand and said, forget it. Ask him what time he plans to meet tomorrow. Anyway, let's meet first. Okay, I'll ask him later. Qi Wenxuan nodded. The two chatted for a while, and then dispersed on the spot. Chu Ran first looked at his level and felt a little headache. I'm stuck at 59. The high-level leveling areas in Haicheng should all be the territories of those big families, right? If I want to reach level 60, I have to compete with them again. How about going to the secret realm? Just pay money, which is more convenient, but the money will go into those people's pockets after spending it. Well, let's talk about it later. The upgrade speed is too fast, it's time to calm down. If this continues, I will be floating. Chu Ran temporarily put aside his thoughts. Tianmen City. City Lord's mansion. A man in white armor sat in the position that originally belonged to the city lord, with a thoughtful expression on his face. Below, the four sword holders stood separately. Yao Guang Sword Master said, according to our investigation, there are indeed fluctuations of other taboo skills around the residual power of the skills you left behind. We are not sure whether it was released by the death mage or the boy who called himself Shu Jin. However, I am more inclined to believe that the death mage counterattacked, triggered the residual power of the skills, and was blown to death. Yao Guang Sword Master slowly made a summary. The other three sword holders did not say anything. After all, they did not have any contact with the mysterious top hidden professional. Only Yao Guang Sword Master had a brief exchange with that person. And sitting on the throne of the city lord was the god of war sent by the god of war mansion to take charge this time. He thought for a few seconds and said, the death mage shouldn't die so easily. At least, the remaining power of my skills can't kill a death cult mage saint. Mage saint. This is the name given to the 7th turn mage by all mage associations. Even the mage association is the same. However, there is no need to worry about such trivial matters. The most urgent task now is to find that young man. He looked at the four sword holders. What do you think? The four sword holders, you look at me, I look at you. No one dared to speak first. Finally, the Yao Guang Sword Master said, Shu War God, this matter is not easy to handle, because the young man obviously gave a false name. The sword-holding department has already investigated the person named Shu Jin in Baicheng and Haicheng, but could not find it. Suitable target. It's not easy to find the seed of this god of war. Furthermore, major universities are definitely also trying their best. Maybe they have already locked the target in advance. We were already a step behind. Now if we want to compete with them, we may not be able to do so. The Yao Guang Sword Master smiled bitterly. She also knew that if the people in the God of War mansion discovered such a God of War seed, they would definitely find it at all costs and take it back to cultivate it. Given time, a new God of War can be cultivated for the human race. But they made it clear that they didn't want to deal with them, so they just masked themselves and even their names were fake. And there are several universities nearby that are eyeing it. Whoever can find the God of War seed first will get it. Universities will never miss this opportunity. Maybe they have already locked the target now. Well, this is indeed a trouble. The God of War Shu nodded and said thoughtfully, in that case, I will apply to the Magic God Association and find some mages who are proficient in prophecy. Isn't it a bit exaggerated to use prophecy for this matter? One of the sword holders couldn't help but said. He is the master of the water god sword. He has not appeared on the battlefield before. He is mainly responsible for cooperating with Shu War God to surround and kill the top abyss creature. Hearing that Shu War God actually wanted to use prophecy, he immediately said, prophecy is a skill that requires lifespan. Even if it is for the God of War seed, I don't think it is such a luxury. Only when humans face the most important choice, they need to turn on prophecy. Now there are fewer and fewer mages who have awakened this skill. It is estimated that we will have to ask those scholars for help. By then, the Law God Association will probably embarrass the War God Mansion again. The master of the Water God Sword analyzed the pros and cons and always felt that this was not the best choice. And he's right. The God of War Palace and the God of Laws Association may not be said to be tit for tat, but they can also be considered a competitive relationship. The Dharma God Guild is more interested in abyss strategy and coordinating the major guilds, and has nothing to talk about with the iron-blooded forces like the God of War Mansion. There are often some frictions between the two sides. Now the God of War Mansion's request for help has reached the Dharma God Association. If you can't ignore it, it will be a ghost. The Flame God Sword Master said, I think it's worth doing this for the sake of a God of War seed. In fact, thinking from another perspective, if the Dharma God Association discovers a Dharma God seed, we happen to have the means to help them. I will definitely look down and ask for help. A God of War and a God of War are the mainstay of the human race. If there is an additional God of War and a God of War, it can at least alleviate the pressure on our country. In the long run, if that young man can grow into a legendary professional, we will make a lot of money. The Flame God Sword Master looked further and even mentioned legendary professionals. The Yaoguang Sword Master also nodded slightly. I think it is necessary. Shu War God, please contact the War God Mansion and communicate with the Dharma God Association. Shu Zanshan tapped his fingers on the armrest of the throne, making a rhythmic sound, obviously thinking. Finally, he said calmly, well, this matter is indeed necessary. The War God's Mansion will take care of the Dharma God Association. Besides, the storm in Tianmen City is over, and I have nothing else to do for the time being. I can go there in person. Go to Haicheng and Baicheng to see if we can find anyone. Are you going in person? The four sword holders were shocked. It was the first time that a war god went to such a small city. It is estimated that the local forces will be scared to death when they find out. Shu Zanshan nodded and said, how can I show my sincerity if I don't go there myself? Moreover, we can't place our hopes entirely on the Dharma God Association. Those who do research are too dark-hearted and like to use their brains. If they suddenly decide to kill people, if it's intercepted, wouldn't we just draw water from a bamboo basket and get nothing? But that young man is obviously not a mage. Yaoguang Sword Master's beautiful eyes widened. Will the God of Magic want to snatch away even non-mage occupations? That's hard to say. Shu Zanshan smiled lightly and said, they are all top-level hidden professions anyway. Who cares if they are mage? In the entire history of the human race, how many top-level hidden professions have there been? This kind of hidden profession that can counterattack the low level against the high level is even rarer. The God of Magic, is it possible not to be tempted after knowing this? Okay, this matter has been settled for now. Yaoguang, you have been in contact with that young man. Please put aside the sword-holding division's affairs for the time being and come with me. He finally finalized the matter. The Yaoguang Sword Master heard this and nodded. Yaoguang takes the order. The next day, Haicheng City Secret Land Ticket Office. Many second and third level professionals are already chatting in the lobby. The Secret Realm Ticket Office in Haicheng is not very busy. After all, even the third-level professionals are the strongest in Haicheng, and most of them have secret realm brushes controlled by guilds. Those who can buy tickets here are basically professionals from small guilds who are not very professional. Or he is a lone ranger like Chu Ran. The lowest level of these secret realms is around level 40, and the highest level can reach level 70. The entry threshold for level 70 is level 60. I can enter, but the tickets are too expensive. Chu Ran looked at the tickets for the secret realms and couldn't help shaking his head. He didn't need this little money. But it was a bit awkward to spend money to kill monsters. Moreover, most of these secret realms were leftovers from the big families and guilds in Haicheng. There was not even a professional in charge. The risks had been ruled out long ago and they would not become the entrance to the abyss, which meant that they were not of much value. There were very few high-level monsters, and the boss of the secret realm was like malnutrition. By the way, have you heard about it? There seems to be a new secret entrance over there in the Death Desert, called the Desert Royal Tomb, which is at least a level 40 secret. The provincial capital has sent people to take over, and it may be opened after the investigation is over. Of course I heard about it. Someone blew up the leek field of the Lin family. I heard that Lin Lan was almost mad to death at that time. It was rare that she got angry in public. Are you sure it was rare? Lin Lan is a woman with high eyes. If anyone makes her unhappy, she would want to kill the whole family. Oh, isn't this just a metaphor? But the level of the desert royal tomb secret is too low, it is of no use to us. It would be great if we could get a few of the high-level secrets in Baicheng. Several second-level professionals gathered together to chat, and the content attracted Chu Ran's attention. Baicheng Secret Realm. Yes, there is no suitable target in Haicheng, I can go to Baicheng to have a look. Chu Ran's heart moved. Baicheng is a little stronger than Haicheng in all aspects, but it is also limited. However, at least in terms of secret realms, Baicheng definitely has more resources. Secret realms are resources that will be fought for no matter where they are placed, especially the safe secret realms that cannot form the entrance to the abyss, which is the best place to go after the novice period. Every city has to fight for these secret realms. After all, whether they can cultivate more high-level professionals in their own city depends entirely on the secret realms. Haicheng currently has too few secret realms, and there are even a few low-level secret realms that are used to make up the number. For example, the small secret realms of around level 20 are tasteless and a pity to abandon, which is very embarrassing. Just as Chu Ran was stroking his chin and preparing to go to Baicheng to make some money, his communication suddenly lit up. Boss, are you free? The warriors should have told you, I have a good thing and want to find you two to go together. Fang Yi's voice rang out. Chu Ran had no ill feelings towards this young mage. Although he came from a big family, he was not a bad person except for his arrogant personality. I have said it, but I don't have much time. What is it? Can you explain it clearly in the communication? Chu Ran replied. Fang Yi said, okay, big brother, do you know about wild bosses? Wild bosses? You mean the kind of bosses that don't have a fixed area? What's wrong? The Fang family got into trouble. Chu Ran said. Then you are unlucky enough. Every time a wild boss is refreshed, it will cause a lot of losses. The Fang family is taking the blame. I'm afraid they will suffer a lot. Oh, if the Fang family took the blame, I would have taken it long ago. Our Fang family is just a matchmaker and can get a share of the pie. I heard that the level of this wild boss is not low. In addition to our Sea City, the big families of White City and Winterfell City are involved. What level of boss is it? Do we have to have a 3-court trial? Chu Ran scratched his head. These 3 cities usually fight for the top 3, and everyone dislikes each other. Now they are actually joining forces because of a boss. What's going on? Is it a world-destroying boss? If the 3 of us don't join forces, we'll all die together. I heard it's at least a level 120 wild boss. It's currently speculated that the spawn point is near Baicheng. Now Baicheng has entered a state of preparation. If one fails to handle it well, they will have to bear the blame. Isn't this asking for help from the neighboring city? Boss, do you want to get some experience with me? Wild bosses are hard to come by, and there are both dangers and opportunities. I'm level 15 now. I'll try my best to reach level 18. When the time comes, I can probably get a lot of fat by using a few skills from a distance. Fang Yi said. Boss, you're at least level 1 now, right? Being able to rub it from a distance is at least worth 2 or 3 days of hard work. Well, let's talk about this later, but speaking of Baicheng, do you know if there is any secret entrance in Baicheng? Chu Ran is not very interested in wild bosses, especially those related to these big families. There is definitely nothing good about them. He turned around and asked Fang Yi if he knew the entrance to the secret realm in Baicheng. Boss, you want to play in the secret realm? What level? Don't we have one in Haicheng? Fang Yi was puzzled. It's just a secret realm, why do you have to go to Baicheng? There are no satisfactory secret realms in Haicheng. You have to be at least level 60. The equipment and props are not important. The main thing is that the experience gain is high. Chu Ran said. These crooked melons and jujubes in Haicheng are enough. I'm wondering what the big deal is, boss, wait a minute. Fang Yi said, and cut off the communication first. Not long after, he sent a remote mail to Chu Ran. Chu Ran opened it and took a look. There was a secret realm certificate inside. Secret realm certificate, Castle of the Terror Lord. 4 stars. When Chu Ran saw what it was, Fang Yi called again. Boss, did you get it? Chu Ran said speechlessly. No, buddy, are you serious? You can give me a 4-star Secret Realm certificate just like that. Where did you get it from? My family prepared the resources for me, and planned to let me use them after I turn 2, but I don't need them for the time being, so I just gave them to you as a favor. Fang Yi spoke in a condescending tone. Okay, you are the one who has a bright future. Chu Ran nodded. Why don't I know that there is such an awesome secret realm in Haicheng? A 4-star secret realm, isn't it in the provincial capital? This is a special secret realm, with limited places. There are only 2 in Haicheng, and they are all controlled by major families. Fang Yi said. Don't be polite to me, big brother, I am just robbing the rich to help the poor. Anyway, my father has 2 certificates hidden and they are useless. If you can't challenge it once, I will steal another one for you. Chu ran. The whole family was very filial. This kid is really a filial son. But Chu Ran thought about it and didn't say anything. Okay, I'll accept it, I owe you a favor. If you have any problems in the future, tell me directly, and I will help you once if I can handle it. Okay, big brother, then I won't bother you. If you are interested in the wild boss, tell me in advance and I will save a place for you. Fang Yi didn't continue to say anything relying on this favor. The communication was quickly cut off. Chu Ran took out the Secret Realm certificate, and relevant instructions immediately appeared in front of him. It's really a special secret realm. No wonder the big family can last for a long time. This foundation is amazing. Chu Ran took a look at the introduction of the secret realm. In Haicheng, there are resources of this level, and they can keep a secret. The foundation of the big family is really amazing. Chu Ran didn't waste time. After getting the Secret Realm certificate, he directly prepared to upgrade to level 60 and perform the second transformation. He opened his panel and took a look. Chu Ran the 55th, 59. Profession: Abyss Messenger SSSSS. When his eyes saw the passive Lord of the Abyss, Chu Ran noticed the prompt behind it. The passive effect of the second transformation activation. I don't know what I will activate after my second transformation. Lord of the Abyss, the name of this passive is really cool. I hope it can bring me a surprise. Chu Ran shook his head and immediately prepared to leave for the secret realm. The secret realm is a monster spawning point in another space, which is equivalent to the gap between the abyss and the real world, so there is a danger of transforming into the entrance to the abyss. Of course, most of the secret realms now have ruled out this possibility. Especially the special secret realms that can only be obtained by major families. In addition to the dangers of the secret realm itself, there will be absolutely no additional risks. The Castle of the Terror Lord. 4-star Secret Realm. Boss: Terror Butler LV 57. Boss: Terror Chef LV 55. Boss: Terror Lord LV 99. Before entering the secret realm with the voucher, Chu Ran saw the information of this secret realm in front of him. 3 bosses. It's really a 4-star secret realm. The difficulty is not low. And the names of the 3 bosses are a bit too abstract. What kind of secret realm is this? A horror special. Chu Ran sighed. I am a timid and mediocre abyss messenger. What I fear most is the horror style. I have never been to the most famous ghost building in Haicheng. Don't play this trick on me. That's what he said. Chu Ran was frantically determined to agree to enter. He was afraid that if he was a step late, the voucher would be useless. There was a teleportation light flashing in front of him. Chu Ran was directly teleported into the dungeon. Gulp. The next second, Chu Ran felt that he opened his mouth and spit out a few bubbles. Is this in the water? As soon as this thought flashed through his mind, Chu Ran saw that the surroundings were pitch black, and he seemed to be wrapped in some kind of sticky liquid, but he didn't feel suffocated. With his current endurance, he can last for several hours even if he stays in the water for a long time without breathing. It would be faster to kill him directly than to suffocate him to death. It doesn't seem to be in the water. After groping around for a while, Chu Ran touched a thin film, which was very tough. With his current strength attribute, it took him a long time to break it. With a splash, countless mucus rushed to the breach in front and flowed all over the ground. Chu Ran wiped his mouth, shook off the mucus on his hands with disgust, and walked out. The surrounding scene was dim and gloomy. One after another, gray-white transparent cocoons were neatly arranged. Chu Ran looked back and found that the place where he had just been was a transparent cocoon. The wall farther away was covered with wriggling flesh and blood, which looked like the stomach wall of some creature. Faintly, a beating sound similar to a heartbeat could be heard. So exciting right at the beginning. Chu Ran's heart tightened. This weird style, is it a bit too much? But fortunately, I'm not so unlucky as to encounter monsters right from the start. What is the secret realm mission? After Chu Ran cleared his mind and shook off the mucus on his body, he opened the information prompt. Current area: Horror Chef's Meat Warehouse. Current goal: survival. Main task: avoid the pursuit of the horror chef, find key information before dinner, and leave the area. Current number of people in the secret realm: 15. After seeing this series of information, Chu Ran roughly understood his situation. It really deserves to be a special secret realm. It creates this sense of substitution right from the start. According to the information prompt, he should be in the territory of Horror Chef, one of the 3 bosses. And there are 14 other people in the secret realm at the same time. I don't know if they are in the areas of other bosses or in these gray-white transparent cocoons. The Horror Chef is a level 55 boss. At this level, I can beat him with one blow. But the biggest difference between the secret realm and the monster spawning point should be here. The secret realm has a certain threshold. Unless I can get through it in seconds, completely ignore all the information points, and kill the boss, I still have to play according to the rules. Chu Ran touched his chin. This secret realm is obviously the kind with a door-opening mechanism. It is not something that can be pushed through without thinking. The so-called door-opening mechanism means that there are conditions before meeting the boss. Even if you want to break it violently, you must first understand its door-opening mechanism. Otherwise, it is useless here. Thinking of this, Chu Ran took out his chicken leg stick and destroyed the scene first according to international practice. He rounded his arm and knocked all the other transparent cocoons. The mucus inside flowed cleanly, and only a few of them had people. But they were just dead people. No one else is in this area. Chu Ran glanced over and knew that he was the only living person in this area. This gave him a key piece of information. The other 14 people might have teamed up to brush the secret realm, and he was the only lone ranger. Then he might have to fight the boss alone and brush the equipment. Without staying in the meat storage of the terrifying chef for too long, Chu Ran left directly. The environment outside was a little better. It was a more antique corridor full of medieval style. On the wall, there were old-fashioned lamps, and the yellow candlelight could only illuminate a few meters around. On the wall farther away, there were some murals whose contents were unclear. The oil paint on it had been distorted. Chu Ran took a look and felt that this thing was so abstract that he was too lazy to look at it and walked directly to the end of the corridor. Looking outside through the window, he judged that he was probably on the 2nd floor. I wonder how many floors this castle has. This thought flashed through Chu Ran's mind, and he knocked on the window with a chicken leg stick. Suddenly, there was a sound of flapping wings outside. A few birds of unknown origin flew away with strange cries. A secret place, made like a haunted house, trying to scare your father, right? Chu Ran muttered, but there was no fear on his face. He was not very brave, but he was slow to react to these terrifying things. Sometimes, when he reacted, he even forgot to be afraid. After walking along the road to the end of the corridor, this place became a fork in the road. One side leads to the stairs. The other side leads to an unknown place. At present, it is obvious to take the path leading to the stairs. Wait, what is the mission? Chu Ran wanted to walk towards the stairs, but suddenly remembered that there seemed to be something wrong with the secret realm mission. Chapter 51. No, since the current goal is to survive, I won't explore it for now, let's talk about it in the next stage. The door opening mechanism is not clear yet. There are 14 people in this secret realm. Let them work for me. Thinking of this, Chu Ran didn't even look at the fork in the road, turned around and returned the same way. To play in the secret realm, you should have an unconventional way of thinking. Others look for clues everywhere, find the door opening mechanism, and then challenge the boss, then I will wait for the boss to come to the door. The secret realm can provide the conditions for survival, which means there must be danger. It has to be me, smart. Chu Ran whistled and returned to the room he left earlier. The transparent cocoons inside were all broken. The corpses lying on the ground in all directions exuded a strange smell. This is the meat storage of the horror chef, or in layman's terms, a warehouse, so the purpose of these corpses is self-evident. Chu Ran stepped on the slime and returned to the meat warehouse, carrying a chicken stick on his shoulder, and looked around. You have such a strong taste, but it's just me. Wouldn't a newbie be scared? Shaking his head, Chu Ran found a clean place to sit down and waited quietly for the boss to come. No matter how complicated the mechanism of the secret realm is, returning to the essence is the logic of defeating the boss to pass the level. Currently, I have triggered the boss of the horror chef. There is no information clue about its door-opening mechanism for the time being, but since he is a chef, he must come to the meat warehouse for a walk, right? Time passed by minute. Chu Ran waited for about 10 minutes. It was quiet outside, without any sound. Current goal: survival completed. Please complete the next goal as soon as possible, find key information before dinner, and leave this area. At this time, 2 information prompts popped up. Survival goal completed. What do you mean? I can't stand it anymore because I'm playing so badly in the secret realm. This secret realm is quite humane. You are not allowed to play passively. Chu Ran stood up with a chicken stick on his shoulder, his expression speechless. I finally thought of a time-saving and labor-saving method, but in the end I still have to find the boss myself. Isn't this a pitfall? Chu Ran was quite annoyed. He didn't like anything and knocked on the wall with a stick. Bang! The flesh and blood tissue that looked like the stomach wall of some creature was blown up on the spot, and there was a sound of knocking on metal. Huh! Chu Ran raised his eyebrows. Another surprise. He swung his arms and smashed all the flesh and blood tissue on the wall. Knocked down blood-red crystals all over the ground. Picked up a piece and identified the item. Soul crystal, small. Soul crystal, good stuff, this is the main material for making healing potions. Put away these large and small soul crystals. Selling them all to the trading house, I guess I can make a small profit. Thank you, young master of the Fang family. After thanking Fang Yi in his heart, Chu Ran searched the meat warehouse again to make sure there were no gifts from nature that were missed. Then he kicked down the wall and changed his way. The corridor outside was clearly a trap, and his intuition told him not to take that road. Bang, bang, bang. Chu Ran started from the meat warehouse, punched through the walls when he saw them, and scraped away the valuables when he saw them, implementing the 3 light concept. Kill everything, smash everything, and rob everything. Of course, he hasn't encountered a living thing yet, so it can only be considered double light. The meat warehouse, utility room, kitchen, and the bedroom of the kitchen have all been scraped. Where is the boss? Is he dead? Chu Ran kicked down another wall, and in the dust and smoke, he still didn't see the boss. Not to mention the boss, there was not even a small monster. This made him start to wonder if he was a step too late. Has the boss of the secret realm been killed? It shouldn't be. This horror chef is only over 50 levels. It's possible that someone has gotten there first, but the horror lord is a SS. If he is killed, the secret realm should enter the cooling stage. Alas, this is the bad thing about brushing the secret realm. It's too slow. It would be better if it was the same as the monster spawning point. Or should I use the grip of the abyss to clear the field and blow up the entire castle? Just when Chu Ran was thinking about whether to make a miracle with great force. Suddenly, there was a terrified scream outside. Help! Help! Open the door! Along with several panicked voices, someone was knocking on the door frantically. This is the bedroom of the horror chef. The solid wood door was banging, and dust was shaking in the crack of the door. Chu Ran tightened the chicken leg stick in his hand, walked to the door vigilantly, and asked, "Who are you looking for?" The knocking sound outside was silent. The next second, he became even crazier. Is there anyone? Is there anyone inside? Open the door. Open the door quickly. You heard wrong, there is no one. Chu Ran said. If you have something to say, just say it, don't knock on the door. Brother, the boss is about to catch up. Our safety time limit has expired, open the door and save lives. Otherwise we will all die. The voice outside was extremely urgent. Safety time limit, what is that? Chu Ran's heart moved, and he asked, what are you going to do with the boss? What's the point of knocking on my door? I won't receive you. There was silence outside for a while, then he said weakly, "Brother, if I read correctly, this should be the room of the horrible chef, right?" "It's mine now," Chu Ran said lightly. "Do you have any objections?" "No, no. Brother, open the door so we can discuss it. Do you want money?" The person outside said something again. "Wouldn't it be over if you said that earlier?" Click. Chu Ran unlocked the door bolt. People outside immediately broke into the door, and 2 men and 2 women rushed in. He looked to be in his 20s, covered in blood, and looked frightened. Thank you, thank you." The leader was a 4-eyed boy dressed as a warrior. He quickly locked the door, showed a smile that was uglier than crying, and leaned against the door to breathe heavily. Chu Ran looked at the 4 of them. One woman was a priest, the other was a shooter holding a crossbow, and the last one should be an assassin or a thief. Their faces were filled with shock, and they looked almost stunned. The soldier wearing glasses recovered faster and took a deep breath and said, "Brother, thank you so much. Without you, all of us would have died." He stretched out his hand towards Chu Ran and took the lead in expressing his goodwill. Chu Ran shook hands with him casually and said, "There's no need to thank me for using people's money to eliminate disasters. By the way, the price hasn't been negotiated just now. How much do you plan to give?" The glasses warrior's smile froze. The other 3 people also showed strange expressions. The other assassin frowned and said, "What do you mean, taking advantage of the situation, right?" "Me, taking advantage of the situation." Chu Ran pointed at himself, and then said, "I understand, you want to refuse the bill. Brother, calm down, do you want to smoke?" The glasses warrior began to pass cigarettes to Chu Ran. Chu Ran easily took one, put it behind his ears skillfully, and said, "If you hadn't asked for money outside, I wouldn't have planned to open the door. Tell me, what are the regulations? If you want to default on the bill, I will go out and cause trouble." Quote. "No, no." The glasses warrior waved his hand quickly, took Chu Ran's wrist, and stuffed something into him. "Brother, my teammates don't understand the rules, you take it." Chu Ran looked down. Life potion, large. 40,000 bottles of good stuff. Good. Chu Ran nodded with satisfaction. "Well, you're quite sensible. Okay, let's talk about it. Why did you become so stupid? It's not that difficult in the 4-star secret realm, right? Are you being chased by the boss?" The spectacled warrior was stunned by Chu Ran. "What is a 4-star secret realm? It's not that difficult, right? They are all level 45 first-level professionals, and they must have a wet nurse, a front row, and an output configuration before they dare to challenge the boss in the first area. I almost overturned just by doing this, and as soon as the safety time limit passed, I was almost killed by the boss. Why is it that getting a 4-star secret realm in this guy's mouth is as easy as eating and drinking?" The bespectacled warrior couldn't see the details clearly and said with a smile, "Brother, I don't know. This secret realm is different from other secret realms. The boss has an instant kill attribute and the door opening mechanism is very complicated. You must participate in the decryption to defeat it smoothly. We are planning to. I was skipping class, and I took advantage of the safe time limit to defeat a secret realm target but ended up overturning the situation. I understand, the boss in this secret realm cannot be killed by force. It has the attribute of instant kill. Either we follow the process honestly, or there is a bug to kill it." Chu Ran probably understood what the glasses warrior wanted to express. Although this kind of troublesome secret realm is rare, it does exist in many places. I heard that among all kinds of secret realms, except for large-scale war secret realms with more than 10,000 people, this type of secret realm is the most troublesome. If you don't understand the opening mechanism, even if you find the boss, you will be killed by a knife. Of course, death in a secret realm is different from reality. At most, all rewards received will be deducted. By the way, I feel uncomfortable for a few days, so I won't really die. This is one of the reasons why secret realms are so popular. There is a certain death penalty, but there is also considerable room for error." Chu Ran looked at the glasses warrior. "You have gained quite a lot in the secret realm. As for running for your life crying like a ghost, what good things did you get and you don't dare to die? Brother, don't be joking. If we had found something good, we would have moistened it already." The 4-eyed warrior rubbed his hands and said, "Speaking of which, brother, what stage are you in? Have you completed the dinner mission?" Several other people also looked over. They are obviously frequent visitors to this secret realm. This is not their first time. They are very familiar with the process of the horror chef. Chu Ran deliberately asked for some information, and then said along the way, I haven't done it yet, do you want to come together? Anyway, you are stuck in a bug. Since you have overturned, then just fight the boss normally. Brother, I don't know. We also want to fight the boss normally, but we don't have this chance now. The four-eyed warrior shook his head and said, we have triggered the instant kill mechanism. If we are caught by the boss now, we will kill him with a knife. There is no need to discuss, but if you want to do the dinner mission, it's best to wait until the next stage. Someone is playing the role of horrible butler right now. It seems to be a team of several second-level bosses. We can't afford to offend them. It would be bad if we get hurt. Really? Chu Ran touched his chin, nodded and said, okay, have a rest, the room is given to you. After saying that, Chu Ran walked out of the big hole he kicked out. Only then did a few people notice that a big hole had been kicked out of the wall of the room, and the wall had collapsed. I'll go, this guy is a bit weird. He can't go through the door, so he has to go through the cave. The female priest complained softly. The assassin who just said that Chu Ran was extorting money frowned and said, you gave him a bottle of high-level healing medicine. How much money will it cost? There are 4 of us, what are we afraid of him? The female shooter holding a crossbow also said, that's right, why did you give him 40,000 yuan of treatment medicine in vain? You know nothing. The four-eyed warrior first glanced at the big hole in the wall and said, what kind of evil can be done to someone who dares to enter the secret realm alone? Besides, this guy seems to have some mental problems. I feel panicked when I talk to him. Just think of using money to eliminate disasters, it's better than killing him and reaping the rewards, right? You are just too cautious. The female shooter snorted coldly. If we meet him in the kitchen area, he is basically on the same level as us. How can he overturn if he fights 4 of them? Just watch, if he dares to look back, I will get the potion back. What do you want back? The words have not yet finished. A head emerged from the wall. Chu Ran put his head around and said, what are we talking about? Just take me with you. 4 people. Chu Ran walked over from the other side of the wall and said, it suddenly occurred to me that I have walked the road over there, so I still have to go this way. He looked at a few people. Did I miss anything? The female shooter couldn't hold her face anymore. She coughed and said, what about that? Take back the potion I gave you just now. We are not a rich family, we all made our own assets, a bottle costs 40,000 yuan, the potion is enough for our income for several days. What do you mean? Chu Ran took out the bottle of potion and asked. The female archer tightened her grip on the crossbow, looking a little nervous. She pointed at Chu Ran and said, don't move, just throw the thing over here. For you. Chu Ran shrugged his shoulders and threw the potion back. The assassin next to him caught it and said scornfully, you are quite obedient, do you understand the form? The four-eyed warrior didn't say a word either. When he saw Chu Ran being so cooperative, he thought he was thinking too much. It was just an embroidered pillow and he had no real ability. I understand. Chu Ran nodded, and then said, by the way, I forgot to tell you that there is a big baby coming outside. What big treasure? The assassin's eyes moved. Chu Ran didn't say anything, turned his head and glanced, then said, I'm leaving first, bye. After saying that, Chu Ran took 3 steps and 2 steps at a time, rushed directly to the door, opened the door bolt and ran out. Boom! Almost at the moment Chu Ran left, the wall he kicked down was once again broken by some huge creature. A pig-headed monster wearing a tattered chef's uniform and covered in blood pushed open the broken wall with his shoulder. He held a boning knife in his hand and let out an earth-shattering roar. It's dinner time. Horrible human chef. Run. The 4-member team reacted immediately and crawled out of the room, wishing their parents had given them 2 less legs. After rushing out of the door, they looked up and saw Chu Ran running slowly in front of them. The female archer was so angry that her teeth itched. It was you who pulled the boss here, right? Don't run. If you have the ability to pull the boss, you have the ability to fight it. She grabbed the crossbow and wanted to shoot Chu Ran with a few arrows now. Chu Ran turned his head and glanced at her, and said lightly, don't accuse a good person without any evidence. I didn't do the pre-task. Where can I trigger the boss? It obviously followed you here. Also, look at how angry the boss is. Did you steal his things? You are really not a human being. You even stole the chef's things. Chu Ran shook his head and jogged all the way, not hurried or slow. Anyway, you just need to run faster than the four of them. As for staying to fight the boss, we all know that the boss here has a one-shot kill mechanism, but you still have to stop and test it yourself. What if your 90% damage reduction can't withstand the one-shot kill? Let's run first. But Chu Ran didn't notice that after he said that, the expressions of the four people in the group were a bit strange. Especially the leading glasses warrior, his heart was even more clicked. How did this guy find out? In the team channel, the female shooter said in a panic, is it sent by other guilds to get intelligence? Don't scare yourself first, maybe he just said it casually. This guy looks a little mentally ill, it may not be that he has discovered the hidden mechanism of the secret realm. And we didn't succeed. The glasses warrior replied to calm the troops. His face was uncertain. They are all members from the same guild, and they are frequent visitors to this secret realm. Each of them has brushed it more than 3 times. Although they never really defeated the horror chef. But they also discovered a hidden mechanism in the secret realm. The reason why this secret realm has countless revealing elements is that it belongs to the pre-secret realm and is related to a large secret realm. The horror chef, the horror butler, and the horror lord each hold a key piece of information. As long as you can get these 3 key pieces of information, you can open a large secret realm. Anyone with a little experience knows that a large secret realm is a rare adventure. Looking around the world, there are only 10. If anyone can discover a new large secret realm, they will really make a fortune. So the 4 of them secretly formed a team, constantly tried and failed, and finally they found the key information held by the horror chef. The horror chef's diary, which records in detail his experience as a military chef in the 9th Legion of the Abyss. The glasses warrior looked at his backpack. In order to steal this diary, he was killed by the horror chef too many times, and he was almost psychologically traumatized by being killed. Even if there is no real death in the secret realm, that taste is not good. If someone discovers this secret, the expression on the face of the glasses warrior was uncertain. He stared at Chu Ran's back, as if he was thinking about something. It's time for dinner. It's time for dinner. At this time, the terrifying chef let out a deafening roar, and the huge boning knife chopped randomly, and the walls and windows on both sides were all damaged. The flying fragments hit the backs of the 4 people. They looked back in horror, and the female priest screamed, "It's violent." The terrifying chef was obviously in a violent state, and his speed and strength increased a lot. It would take only a few steps to catch up with them. One by one, their heads were split open. Bang bang bang. Just when they were nervous, the pig-headed monster rushed over in a few steps and chopped with a knife. The assassin immediately grabbed the female priest's head and pressed it down. At the same time, he lowered his head. The 2 of them immediately felt the boning knife chopped against the back of their heads, bringing a gust of cold wind. A chill ran through their bodies, giving them goosebumps. The female priest escaped and quickly chanted a protective spell, and the 4 people were immediately enveloped by a faint halo. But as soon as the light on her body lit up, it was shattered by a knife. The huge force made her stumble forward several steps. The female priest was almost dying of anxiety, and frantically urged in the team channel, "Think of a way. We can only hold on for 10 seconds at most." Hearing this, the glasses warrior's cheeks bulged, and his back teeth were about to be broken. After struggling for a few seconds, he shouted to Chu Ran in front, "Brother, stay. There is something good for you. Help us. Let me tell you a big secret." He decided to share the hidden mechanism of this secret realm with Chu Ran. After all, it was completely luck that he was able to get the diary of the horror chef this time. If he was asked to copy it again, he would not have the ability. Once he was left here, all this time would be in vain. Although I don't know if the Lone Ranger in front has the ability to defy the heavens, seeing that he dares to break into the secret realm by himself, he should be quite capable, right? The warrior with glasses was just taking a gamble. As a result, Chu Ran said without looking back, "I'm not interested, but you can tell me in your dream when I visit your grave." Put oil on the road. Chu Ran quickened his pace. He was about to run to the fork in the road. The warrior with glasses was really helpless, and gritted his teeth and said, 1 million. 1 million blue star coins. Brother, you just need to save me. The thing is on him, he must not die. But he hadn't finished speaking. A strong wind came from the side, and the next second, the female shooter next to him had her protective skills shattered, and then she was smashed directly against the wall, and the sound of broken bones came from her whole body. The warrior with glasses saw this scene with his peripheral vision, and his eyelids twitched wildly, and he was dying, dying, dying. I can't bear it anymore. At this moment, a bang sounded in the corridor. The violent gale made several people fall all over the place, and they could only see a vague afterimage passing by. Ding! The boning knife was blocked by someone. Chu Ran held the chicken leg stick in one hand and blocked the huge boning knife. The two weapons rubbed at a high frequency, bursting out dazzling sparks. Looking down at the bespectacled warrior who was already frightened, Chu Ran reported his account and said, 1 million, transfer. The bespectacled warrior was stunned. Just as he was about to say something, his face suddenly changed. Be careful. The terrifying human chef with a pig's head and a human body took out a bloody big kitchen knife from his waist and chopped it towards Chu Ran. Chu Ran didn't dare to take it head on. After all, he didn't know what the instant kill mechanism of the secret realm was. So he stepped aside and the floor under his feet was immediately chopped into a broken knife mark of more than 10 meters, and the floor tiles flew everywhere. I gave you face, right? Seeing this scene, Chu Ran's face turned black. If he was hit by this, wouldn't he be chopped up to the sky? He took out the dog-headed scepter and stabbed the terrifying human chef. The scary chef roared. A bloody hole was stabbed in its belly. Although the injury was not serious, it made it even more angry. What are you barking about? Chu Ran jumped up and hit it with a stick, knocking back half of its roar. Sticks with critical hit properties are not so delicious. The scary chef was beaten into a pig head. It seems that it was originally a pig head. Ah! The scary chef's eyes were full of fierce light. He roared and swung his arms, holding two knives and slashing wildly. After all, it was a level 55 secret realm boss. This ghost thing was really dangerous when it went crazy. The unlucky assassin who fell at its feet had half of his body chopped off on the spot and was kicked out of the secret realm with a scream. The female priest quickly lay on the ground, fearing that she would also be carried away. Chu Ran held a scepter in one hand and a chicken leg stick in the other, swinging his arms wildly, and the four weapons collided, making clanging noises. Chu Ran's strength attribute was slightly inferior, so he stepped back a few steps, came to the side of the glasses warrior, and said in a deep voice, this boss can also use starburst airflow slash. He is a strong enemy. You have to pay more. What is starburst airflow slash? The glasses warrior didn't react at all. The name of this skill is quite cool. You didn't come up with it now, did you? Moreover, it doesn't look like you are struggling at all. I said, you have to pay more. Do you understand? Chu Ran turned his head and asked. Understand. I understand. The glasses warrior finally understood at this moment that the key point is to pay more. He quickly transferred 2 million blue star coins according to the account code given by Chu Ran. His expression was extremely ugly, and his heart was bleeding. These 2 million blue star coins are equivalent to his annual income. It's all gone to waste. Seeing the information, Chu Ran nodded with satisfaction and looked up at the horror chef. He directly threw Abyss King Power at him. The horror chef was enjoying the chop, but he was hit by a weakness, and a very humane doubt appeared on his pig face. It was as if he was saying, why am I suddenly weak? It is very rare to have a strong enemy like you. In order to give you the highest respect, I decided to kill you with the strongest move. Chu Ran held the stick across his chest and said in a deep voice, come on, fight another round. Take my stick. A trace of fear appeared in the eyes of the horror chef, and his ears were about to fly up, and he quickly retreated. As a result, he was pierced through by the scepter after he retreated half a step. Blood gushed out from his back, and he roared in shock and anger, threw away both machetes, and grabbed the scepter and roared continuously. If it could speak, it would definitely ask Chu Ran, saying that it agreed to take your stick, why did you stab me with the scepter? You don't have martial ethics. Alas, it's a pity. You are such a good warrior. You should hold your weapon before you die. Chu Ran rotated his arm, twisting the scepter in the wound, and shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'll give you a quick death." Ah, ah, the horror chef was so painful that he went crazy, and his big hand like a palm fan smashed towards Chu Ran. HMPH. Chu Ran glared. His left eye turned dark purple, and the big hand suddenly exploded into a bloody firework in the sky. Monster, sneak attack me. Die. Chu Ran knocked the horror chef's head flat with a stick. The horror chef finally couldn't bear it. The huge body rubbed back frantically. It wanted to escape. Chu Ran threw out another abyss annihilation. This time it directly blew up the horror chef's back, but it still didn't die, and it rolled and crawled to the depths of the corridor. Is the ghost thing so weak? After taking one abyss kingship, it didn't die after 2 abyss annihilation. Chu Ran didn't expect that this boss could be so tanky. It wasn't that hard to kill the 207 level dragon in the battlefield. Is there any special bonus in the secret realm? He forgot. The dragon had already been beaten by Yaoguang's sword master. He ran over and weakened it with a bang, hitting it with his stick randomly, just trying to steal the monster. But the horror chef at least has a boss entry. It is still in a violent state, and its attributes in all aspects have increased significantly. It is difficult to kill it with only one weakening. Chu Ran shook his head and was about to continue chasing. The glasses warrior next to him rushed over and hugged his thigh. "Boss. Don't chase the desperate enemy. Get out of the way." Chu Ran kicked him away and went to chase the horror chef with 2 sticks. The horror chef is now in a weakened state, and his escape speed is not as fast as before. Moreover, his back is blown into a bloody mess by the abyss annihilation, and he looks extremely miserable. Chu Ran chased after it and knocked it to the ground with a stick. He hit it randomly, and asked every time he hit it, "Barking, barking. Wasn't it very loud just now? Why is it silent now? I still like your unruly look just now. Will you recover?" The face of the scary chef was full of humiliation. It has been the boss in this secret realm for many years, and this is the first time it has encountered such an unreasonable person. The boss also has dignity. If you want to kill it, just kill it, don't humiliate me. 2 streams of blood spurted out of the scary chef's nose. After being hit countless times, he finally died. Chu Ran stopped, looked at his experience, and sighed in his heart. It's actually just a little short of upgrading. Isn't it too difficult to level up from 59 to 60? Killing this boss does not give you any cross-level rewards, only a 10x bonus from your passive skill, which is understandable. However, experience rewards are only one aspect. This boss actually has a product. The horrible chef's boning knife, diamond grade type, single 2-handed weapon, level limit, LV 55. Strength plus 177. Spirit plus 30. Endurance plus 200. Luck plus 1. Features. The horrible chef's knife skills greatly improve the shield-breaking properties, including but not limited to armor shields and spell shields. The shield-breaking properties are pretty good. Unfortunately, it's only diamond grade, so I couldn't get legendary equipment. Chu Ran shook his head silently and said, "What a tough opponent. I will remember your name, pig-headed man. Big boss, if I remember correctly, it seems to be called Horror Chef." The warrior with glasses raised his hand and said weakly, "Besides, you seem to have tortured it to death just now, right? This is also considered difficult. Difficult, cough, it is indeed difficult." Before he finished speaking, he noticed that Chu Ran's eyes became a little unfriendly, and immediately changed his words from the heart. Chu Ran put away his weapon, went over and hugged the warrior with glasses, and said lightly, "Little Four Eyes, let me tell you a truth, I am paid to do things, and I must satisfy you as a client, right? If I act too relaxed, won't you feel that you have wasted your money?" The glasses warrior gave a thumbs up. "Brother, you are right. There are not many businesses that consider user experience as much as you do. Don't worry, I will help you get business when I get back." After saying that, he sneered twice and said, "If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." "Then who, you two, say goodbye to the boss." He pointed at his 2 teammates. The female shooter and the female priest said with formal expressions, "Goodbye, boss." The 3 of them took small square steps, turned around and wanted to leave. "Wait a minute, let you go." Chu Ran waved, "Come on, come here." The glasses warrior said awkwardly, "What else can you do, boss?" Chu Ran put her arm around his shoulders and said, we just agreed that we would have 1 million lives per life, and because the opponent is too strong, you added 1 million, and you bought your own life. Is there anything wrong with that? The bespectacled warrior felt that something was not right, but he still nodded, nothing is wrong. It's what you said. Chu Ran pointed at the female priest and female shooter, you have some ideological problems. I have to educate you. You spent 2 million to buy your own life. What are you going to do with your 2 teammates? Well, the glasses warrior hesitated for a few seconds and then said cautiously, 1 million for each of them. That's right. Chu Ran smiled happily and patted the bespectacled warrior on the shoulder, you can't treat one with favoritism. Your life is life, but the life of your teammates is not life. What's the matter, do you look down on women? One is a shooter, and the other is not. Priest, these are all powerful professions. Isn't it more popular to find a job than a soldier like you? Do I make sense? Chu Ran said with a smile. It makes sense. The glasses warrior gritted his teeth, and then felt a little confused. But, brother, look at me, I don't have that much money on hand. The 2 million I just gave you is already my entire net worth. Can you slowly? You have no money, but they too have money, right? After Chu Ran finished speaking, he looked at the female priest and female shooter. Female pastor. Hollow diamond katakana middle dot. Female shooter. Degree. Both of them were confused. What kind of secret bully is this? Yes. The bespectacled warrior was about to cry and urged in a low voice, hurry up and transfer money to brother. The 2 of them were dawdling with reluctance. Seeing this, Chu Ran sighed, you can still worry about money here. Where is that unlucky assassin? He was split in 2 by the boss. Just a secret realm certificate costs a lot of money, right? This loss is not worth it. Know who to blame. As he said that, Chu Ran looked sideways at the 2 women. The 2 women felt a murderous aura keenly. Oops. This guy is murderous. They didn't dare to mess around anymore, so each of them transferred 1 million to Chu Ran. After seeing the account information, Chu Ran was satisfied. While counting the balance, he said, I know you are all sensible. Don't worry, I have no other advantages. I only speak sincerely when I come out to hang out. After collecting your money, I will ensure that your trip to the secret realm is safe and sound. Who is the next boss? Quote. The glasses warrior said with a sad face, brother, there's really no need. We don't have the ability to kill the scary butler, so we're going to leave now. And our wallets don't allow it, so let us go. The female shooter also took out the bottle of life potion. Boss, I was blind just now. I'll give you the thing. Don't torment us, okay? Chu Ran grabbed the life potion with his hands, put it into his backpack in a second, and said with a straight face, who do you think I am? Am I after your bottle of potion? It's only 40,000 yuan, I really didn't put it in my eyes, the main thing is to have an attitude. The female shooter's eyelids twitched wildly. The bottle of potion didn't even stay in her hand for a second. Okay, let's go. Seeing that they really had nothing to squeeze out, Chu Ran waved his hand. The 3 of them nodded and bowed again as if they had been granted amnesty, and prepared to leave. Before he could turn around, Chu Ran said again, wait a moment. Brother, do you have any other advice? The 3 of them didn't dare to move again. The bespectacled warrior regretted it now. He regretted it very much. Why did he have to knock on the door with his weak hands? If you don't knock on the door, the most you can do is get hacked to death by the boss, which won't be much better. However, the intimidation left by the horrible death of the horrible cook was still there, so even if they felt very unhappy, they did not dare to provoke Chu Ran. All the money has been spent. If the disaster cannot be eliminated, then it will really be an unjust death. Chu Ran said calmly, I almost let you get away with it. Didn't you just say that you had something good to share with me? What good thing, please tell me. The glasses warrior's lips trembled. The expression on his face was full of hesitation. Just now, in a hurry to save his life, he was a bit arrogant and accidentally let the secret out. Now that he has spent so much money, he is really not happy to ask him to reveal the copy hiding mechanism. But the glasses warrior recalled Chu Ran's ferocious energy in smashing the boss to death with his stick, and his heart trembled, and he sighed, Boss, let me tell you the truth, it's actually a hidden mechanism and it hasn't been confirmed yet. It was also discovered by accident, so I can't completely guarantee it. He took out the diary. Anyway, if Chu Ran kills him, this thing will fall. Not to mention fetching water from the bamboo basket, he will also lose a secret realm certificate in vain, so it is better to take it out now. Chu Ran took it and took a look at it, raised his eyebrows and said, "The diary of a scary chef. What's the use?" Since this has been opened, the glasses warrior did not hide it and said directly, "I heard that it is related to a large secret realm. This copy is the precondition. As long as 3 key pieces of information are collected, the large secret realm can be opened. Boss, you also know that there are only 10 large secret realms in the world. It can't be described as too many monks and too little porridge. It is completely at the level of protecting animals. If we can decrypt these 3 key pieces of information and discover a new large secret realm, wouldn't we make a fortune?" After the glasses warrior finished speaking, he said, "At present, the information about the horror chef has been confirmed to be this diary. It records his experience in the 9th Legion of the Abyss." "Boss, do you know the 9th Legion of the Abyss?" Quote. Chu Ran nodded and said, "The main force of the 17th layer of the Abyss, the Ace Legion of the Scarlet Queen. I heard that more than 100 years ago, they almost destroyed Shaori, almost destroyed the Sakura country." "That's right, the 9th Legion of the Abyss is the Scarlet Queen's army. We analyzed this large secret realm and it should be related to the Scarlet Queen." The glasses warrior said mysteriously, "If we decrypt all the information, maybe we can find the Scarlet Queen's weakness through that secret realm and suppress the 17th layer of the Abyss." Chu Ran looked at the glasses warrior with a strange face. "How dare you think about it? Among the creatures of the Abyss, the ones who are least likely to be trifled with are the divine beings. As long as the name has the word God in it, it is a demon-level terrifying creature. Once it comes, it will be a terrifying natural disaster. Further down the row are those of the various royal generations. The Scarlet Queen is one of the top abyss creatures known so far. 100 years ago, she led her army to break through the limits of the present world and almost destroyed the Sakura Kingdom. If the Dragon Kingdom hadn't sent several legendary professionals to support them, the current map of the mainland would have changed. Want to find the Scarlet Queen's weakness? You might as well ask her if she wants a son-in-law." Chu Ran shook his head, threw the diary to the glasses warrior, and said, "Even if you can decipher the 3 key pieces of information and find the large secret realm, it won't be your turn to eat this meat. Listen to my advice, there is water in it. It's too deep and you can't control it. Report it quickly and let professionals handle it. What the boss taught me is, I'll think about it again." The glasses warrior took the diary and smiled crookedly. Mainly, he didn't expect Chu Ran to be willing to return the things to him. After another round of thanks, the glasses warrior said before leaving, "Boss, if you go to fight the horrible butler, be careful, someone has already started the boss over there." "No." Chu Ran waved his hand. The glasses warrior reluctantly left with his 2 girl teammates. "Before leaving, I looked back and felt that the boss was not a bad person. Apart from the asking price, at least he was not greedy for his things. Alas, there are still many good people. Wait until these 3 people leave." Chu Ran took out the boning knife and weighed it in his hand. The weight was quite appropriate. Although it has shrunk a lot compared to the original one from Horrible Chef, it is not very convenient for him to use that giant knife. Taking out this boning knife, Chu Ran mainly wanted to weigh whether the crushing properties of the chicken leg stick could be triggered by another weapon. Now the attribute bonus of the chicken drumstick is not enough, but the smashing property is really good. With or without the blessing of CD, the sword critical strike is simply an artifact. However, those attributes are too shabby. If I have a big stick in one hand and a main output weapon in the other, leaving the smashing feature to be triggered by the other weapon, is it feasible? Chu Ran thought about it, turning on the crushing feature with the knife in his left hand and the stick in his right hand, and then try it out if he encounters a monster later. If it works, the chicken drumstick will really be a magic weapon. At least until he can find another replacement. Make your way out of this corridor. Chu Ran didn't do any tricks this time and climbed the stairs directly. Just came upstairs. The prompt was refreshed before my eyes. Current goal: survival. Main goal: answer the 3 questions left by the butler before the Terror Lord wakes up. Current number of people in the secret realm, 14. Seeing that there was one person missing in the secret realm, Chu Ran knew that it should be the unlucky assassin. Just now, the horrible chef used a move called Star Explosion Air Current Slash. The guy had no time to dodge and was carried away by the slash in the waist. He didn't even have time to scream. Fortunately, death in the secret realm does not count as true death, otherwise I would have to take the blame. However, answer the 3 questions left by the housekeeper. What kind of trouble is this? Can you use your brain a little less? I don't have a good brain. Chu Ran complained, and with a knife and a stick, he raised his legs and headed into another corridor. Just when he was planning to follow the old rules and loot every room. When, a strange bell suddenly rang. The boundless darkness spread quickly, and the surrounding environment suddenly changed. A slender figure with an unclear face stood in front, wearing a black suit and vest, and holding an old-fashioned oil lamp in his hand. Are you the new challenger? The slender figure made an unpleasant sound like a knife scraping glass, and said sharply and hoarsely, if you can answer my question, you are qualified to enter the master's collection room and get a prize from the master. Chu Ran ignored him, looked around and said, what new trick is this? The first question is. The slender figure seemed to be following a fixed procedure, slowly and lowly preparing to ask questions. Chu Ran shook his head and said, let me ask you a question first. The slender figure was stunned for a moment, as if he had never encountered such a situation before. Most of the challengers I met in the past had a nervous look on their face, or were wary of possible attacks around them, instead of Chu Ran, who looked relaxed and planned to ask questions. Facing this unprecedented situation, the slender figure suddenly fell silent. If it belongs, it won't be repaired. Where is the collection room? Chu Ran raised the boning knife in his hand and said, my patience is limited. I will give you 3 seconds to think about it. If you don't answer my question, I will chop you up today. Pig-headed man. The slender figure was silent for several seconds, and finally said, my first question is. Talk to you carefully, I think you don't understand. You really don't know what an abyss ancestor is. Chu Ran still had a crushing characteristic on his body. He rushed over and slashed the slender figure in half. A critical hit. Chu Ran could feel that this mysterious touch was definitely a critical hit. It seems useful. The idea of a chicken drumstick in one hand and a high-end weapon in the other can work. After verifying his idea, Chu Ran nodded and was about to give the slender figure another blow. The slender figure that was cut in half turned into 2 identical figures on the spot. Also wearing a suit and vest, holding an oil lamp, he stood silently. Chu Ran looked at the one on the left. Looked at the one on the right again. Neither can he. Now if I give each of you a knife, will you become 4? Chu Ran tilted his head and asked. The slender figure said at the same time, my first question is. Brush. Before he could finish speaking, Chu Ran just slashed out with 2 swords. With a flash of the sword's shattering properties, the 2 slender figures suddenly turned into 4. 4 figures holding oil lamps and wearing suits and vests stood around Chu Ran, surrounding him. But this time, the 4 slender figures did not ask any more questions, obviously triggering other mechanisms. The surrounding darkness quickly faded. The 4 slender figures turned and left. If they could speak freely, I'm afraid they would be scolded now, you fool. I have never seen such a reckless person. Do you understand what it means to respect the rules of the secret realm? I asked you to answer questions and you didn't even let me finish a single question. You like to fight, right? Let's fight enough. The moment the darkness fades. In front of them were 2 huge abyss demon wolves with mouths full of saliva, pacing out. Scarlet eyes stared at Chu Ran. Abyss wolf. LV 49. Skills. Skull-crushing attack, fatal bite, blood rage. After taking a look at the level and skills of the abyss wolf, Chu Ran sighed. This boss is too petty. Leaving 2 level 49 monsters for himself. Who is he looking down on? The crushing feature is activated. A wave of abyss kingship weakening was thrown over. Chu Ran raised his knife and the 2 abyss wolves died on the spot. There was no suspense. After this wave of experience, he was only a little bit away from level 60. Seeing that he was about to complete the goal, Chu Ran laughed pervertedly. Horror butler, come out, I have something good to do with you. In the quiet corridor, only his voice echoed around. After the slender figure left, everything that happened just now seemed like an illusion. Chu Ran shook his wrist, swung the boning knife up and down, and kicked open the room in front of him. Hello. The room was empty. Chu Ran couldn't hide his disappointment. He's not here. He's quite good at hiding. He came to the door of the next room and kicked it open. He went to look for him one by one. In the corridor, the continuous sound of breaking doors was more terrifying than the bell that just rang. At the same time, the team that was originally solving the 3 puzzles of the terrifying butler suddenly found something wrong. A gentle and refined young man wearing a water blue wizard robe frowned and saw that the slender figure in front of him became blurred and distorted, jumping like a video screen with unstable signal. What's going on? Is the boss crazy? Has anyone triggered the hidden mechanism? As the captain, he asked the other team members immediately. In the team channel, someone immediately responded, "It's strange, I have a problem here too." The boss suddenly stopped asking me questions, as if it was stuck. What's going on? It's the same here. The hidden mechanism is here now. Isn't it a rip-off? I've already answered 2 questions. Seeing that his team members also encountered a similar situation, the blue-robed mage was even more confused and said, "Did someone else accidentally open the boss?" Lu Ru, how many people are there in the dungeon now? Soon, a female voice came from the team channel. The prompt just now said 14 people. 14. The number is not more, but 1 less. It should be it's time for those who challenge the horror man cook to fail. Quote. There are 8 of us here. The team that challenged the horror man cook is a 4-man team. They are now 1 less, and there are still 3 people in the secret realm. I know one person. She is also a veteran. She never kills the horror butler. She only solves puzzles to get rewards. She makes money by doing this. The problem should not be with her. That's the remaining 2 people. Xiao Yu, why don't you stop for a while? The boss is going crazy now. No one knows if there will be any hidden mechanism. If we are all taken away, this time will be in vain. Someone asked the captain if he meant to stop first. Solve 3 puzzles, open the branch of the horror butler, choose to enter the horror lord's collection room to randomly draw rewards, or kill the horror butler. They have already done it many times and have never encountered such a situation. Although this is only a level 57 boss, and their team is at least level 60 second-turn professionals, it is very normal to fail in the secret realm due to some unknown changes. They have gained a lot today. If they are taken away here, even if it is not a big loss, it will be painful for a while. The mage named Xiao Yu pondered for a moment and said, "Who of you has reached the 3rd question? Don't waste time, solve the puzzle quickly, and let's get rid of the boss first." Xiao Yu, isn't it too risky? Someone couldn't help but persuade. It's safer to take the things on hand out first. If all 8 of us are dead, we won't be able to make back the money for the secret realm certificate. Xiao Yu said without hesitation. I'll pay for this money, continue to decrypt. I have a guess about the boss, and I must confirm it today. Hearing the captain say this, even if others have other ideas, they must swallow them back. Soon, an excited voice came from the team channel. My boss has recovered. I have encountered the 3rd question before, and I will answer it now. Hurry up, others urged. In a few seconds, Xiao Yu found that the slender figure in front of him disappeared. Because it was someone in the team who answered the 3rd question, it was up to him, the captain, to choose whether to receive the reward from the collection room. Xiao Yu decisively chose to refuse. He didn't come here for that little bit of profit at all. Then, the darkness faded, and figures appeared around Xiao Yu. All of them were his team members. They came to a wide hall, with precious wool carpets on the floor, a long table in front, and white candles of different heights inserted in the candlesticks, emitting a strange green light. On the long table, there was also bright red meat. I don't know if the chef was on strike, and several dishes were obviously missing. But in the center of the table, there was a human head. The expression on his face was hideous and terrifying. If Chu Ran was here, he would recognize it at a glance. This was the unlucky assassin who was cut in half by the terrifying chef. So he was cooked and served on the table. A slender figure holding an oil lamp stood across the table. In the darkness behind him, a huge throne could be vaguely seen. Are there any new challengers? The slender figure raised the oil lamp in his hand, as if he wanted to see the people in front of him clearly. This process had already been experienced by several people. Xiao Yu said directly. Elemental envoys add buffs, berserkers are ready to fight monsters, and kill them quickly, be careful of being intercepted. His expression was a little gloomy. I have a bad feeling, fight quickly and make a quick decision. The people he called out immediately took action, standing relatively forward, obviously experienced. Apart from this, the others had a relaxed expression. A young man dressed as a scholar shook his head and said, Xiao Yu, are you too nervous? This is a secret realm. Who can come to fight the boss without answering questions? And intercept. Fight monsters. Xiao Yu didn't waste words. A woman in emerald green wizard robes immediately refreshed their status, and the light enveloped everyone, amplifying the trace attributes. The berserker immediately rushed out, stabbing the terrifying butler in the head with the spear in his hand. What an impolite guest. The terrifying butler raised his hand to block the shot, and his features finally appeared on his gray face. It was like a dark hole, grotesque and terrifying. However, its cutscene lines were not finished yet. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside the hall. The door was like being smashed by a battering ram, and wood chips flew everywhere. You are a butler who can hide well. Chu Ran stepped in and said directly, but I still caught you. Come on, let me chop you with a knife, I want you to help me upgrade. What the hell, how did he get in? Several of Xiao Yu's teammates were startled by the loud noise. Their eyes almost fell out when they looked back at the person coming. Especially the scholar who just vowed that no one would cut off his words. His expression was uglier than eating a piece of his answer. Isn't this a slap in the face? Hello. Chu Ran also noticed the group of people in front of him now and nodded towards them. You still have to be polite. Moreover, someone opened the monster first. Considering that you may have to grab the monster, it is always right to say hello in advance. Is there really anyone who can skip the secret realm boss process? The scholar was completely clueless and muttered in a low voice. He has participated in many secret realms, large and small. In a secret realm like this with its own door-opening mechanism, there is rarely a way to skip classes. Even if there is, it is still a big risk. There is no way to kick the door open. Take off your pants and get ready to get down to business, right? Isn't this a hooligan act? Friend, which guild are you from? Xiao Yu reacted immediately and said with a somewhat cautious expression, this is the boss of our T-Online guild. It's just a convenience, and there will be good rewards later. T-Online Hui, never heard of it. Chu Ran put the chicken drumstick on his shoulder and held the boning knife in his other hand. He shook his head and said, don't ask me who I am. In a word, I am the boss. Yes, I have no idea why. Xiao Yu was startled. Then he laughed. You're quite funny. What's going on? Do you want to rob the boss? Do you want to look around and think about it carefully? He opened his arms to indicate that there seemed to be too many people on his side. Several other teammates also showed playful smiles. They haven't seen such an arrogant newcomer in a long time. Except for the berserker who opened the monster just now. His face was full of weirdness. He looked at the terrifying butler who kept retreating, with a hesitant expression on his face. He wanted to remind Xiao Yu several times. Captain, let's stop pretending. The boss seems to be running away. According to common sense, after the boss is activated at this time, it is time to go through the normal process. It only takes 3 or 5 sentences at most, and both parties have to put their arms aside and start fighting. However, since the young man at the door appeared, the scary butler was like a primary school student who was scared to wet his pants. Not only did he not follow the procedures, but he also seemed to be a little timid. The berserker was confused for a while and muttered, it's strange. What happened in this secret realm today? Has the mechanism been changed? Will this boss run away? You haven't heard of T-Online Hui, are you from a small place? Xiao Yu laughed, shook his head and said, as the saying goes, those who don't know are not to blame. I think you must have paid a lot of money to sneak into this secret realm. So, the knife in your hand is good, you can take things come out, I won't embarrass you. As the captain of this team. Of course, Xiao Yu is also a master who has eaten and met before. It was immediately obvious that the boning knife in Chu Ran's hand was a good one. Not to mention anything else, they have fought against the boss terrorist chef many times. This boning knife is exactly the same as Terrorist Chef. It is at least gold level equipment, and maybe even better. Seeing that the other party had never heard of the T-Online Society and didn't know the principle of keeping one's wealth secret, he was obviously a fool. Xiao Yu's wariness was already gone and he was planning to extort money. When Chu Ran heard this, he weighed the knife in his hand and suddenly realized, I understand, you want to blackmail me. Blackmail you? Xiao Yu smiled and said, you seem to have misunderstood something. Now that you have broken into our territory and plan to rob our boss, asking you for a little mental damage fee is not too much, right? Another assassin profession smiled and answered, or you can just commit suicide and leave the secret realm. Anyway, you don't seem to have gained much. If you die and leave the secret realm, you can still keep your equipment. Our T-Online guild is not comparable to a small local guild like yours. If you offended us today, you'd better keep vigil with both eyes when you sleep in the future, otherwise. He took out the dagger and licked it with a grin on his face. This action made Chu Ran get goosebumps, and he sighed, it's really weird. It's a good thing if I don't rob you, but you still want to rob me. A knight carrying a huge shield spat, stop talking nonsense to me, this is in a secret realm. If it were outside, for a little fool like you who steals monsters, we would have 10,000 ways to make it impossible for you to survive. I can't die. Seeing the steady performance of his teammates, Xiao Yu showed a happy smile. When the heat was almost over, he waved to Chu Ran, weren't you quite arrogant just now? Are you planning to steal our boss? Come on, let me give you another chance to organize your words. Chu Ran shook his head and said, forget it, what nonsense am I talking to you about? If you can survive my attack, let's continue talking. The boss will run away in a while. After saying that, Chu Ran raised his legs and walked towards Xiao Yu. You are the leader, are you going to take the knife first? You're quite arrogant. I'm standing right here. If you can't kill me with one knife, do you call me grandpa? The shield knight took off the huge shield behind his back, put it on the ground with one hand, made a muffled sound, and said disdainfully, a little dog like you, let alone one chop, I ask you to chop 10, and you can't do it. It may not be possible to break the defense. He just finished speaking. Chu Ran had already rushed over. He hit him head on. The critical strike effect of the crushing feature, plus the shield-breaking attribute of the boning knife, double superposition, is specially used to fight this kind of cuckold profession. The shield knight was dumbfounded and almost didn't react. He hurriedly raised his shield and cursed, you are a sneak attack. The next second, the knife flashed by. The shield knight felt that all the hairs on his body stood up. He found that Chu Ran kept the posture of swinging the knife without moving. He hurriedly looked down at himself. Good guy, there was no injury at all. It's a pity that I was scared for a second just now. It was purely because I didn't trust myself. Old bear. Just then, the green-robed female mage suddenly said, your back is leaking. What back is leaking? The shield knight frowned when he heard it. Just when he was about to turn his head to speak, the whole person turned at a very weird angle, and half of his body fell to the ground. With a click, his shield was also broken into 2 pieces. He couldn't die anymore. He killed the old bear. The female elemental messenger in green wizard robes screamed. Xiao Yu's expression also sank. Do it. Firestorm. He immediately waved his staff, and a cluster of flames appeared above the staff. In a blink of an eye, he spit out flames and sprayed them in a straight line towards Chu Ran. Chu Ran dodged immediately, and the rolling heat waves brushed past his body. He could almost smell a burnt smell. Fire mage. Chu Ran took a look and said speechlessly, you are wearing a blue wizard robe. I think you are a water or ice type. Xiao Yu said coldly, I wear whatever I like. Fire phoenix feather. He released another magic. Dense fire feathers flew out, exploding a series of dust and flames. Chu Ran immediately dodged left and right. This was not the damage of the abyss, and he couldn't bear it head on. I have the ability to kill the other party in seconds, and they also have the ability to kill me. Boom. In the fire feather, there was a powerful fireball spell. Chu Ran quickly slashed with a knife, and the knife light rolled into the fireball, and there was an amazing explosion on the spot. A wave of heat engulfed Chu Ran. But he was not injured this time. He patted his slightly burnt clothes and stared at Xiao Yu. The mage is really troublesome. Fortunately, my defense attribute is high. Come, take my knife. Chu Ran kicked his legs, burst out with terrifying power, and rushed towards Xiao Yu in the blink of an eye. In a team fight, kill the one with the highest output first, this is the truth. Kill this mage first and then talk about other things. Noticing Chu Ran's intention, Xiao Yu's mouth was about to be crooked with anger. Do you think I am a soft persimmon? You are dreaming, Xiao Yu cursed. Without his prompting, the assassin had already taken action. Teammates who have been partners for many years still have this tacit understanding. His dagger was wrapped in black airflow, and it was so fast that it formed a series of afterimages. At some point, it went around Chu Ran's back and stabbed him in the back. You want to touch our captain, you little jerk, have you asked me? Chu Ran seemed to have eyes on his back. He passed the chicken leg stick behind him. The thick and big stick just blocked the dagger, then twisted his body, turned half a circle on the spot, and swung the stick at the assassin. Before the stick hit, the whistling wind made the assassin's eardrums buzz. His face suddenly changed, and he didn't care about the embarrassment. He rolled to the ground and narrowly avoided this fatal blow. Bang! Chu Ran's stick hit nothing, but it made a sonic boom. The strong wind lifted the assassin's small body and rolled several times before stopping. As a profession that focuses on sneak attacks and offense, a second-level assassin of more than 60 levels has a strength attribute of at least 400. With multi-dimensional blessing, his speed and attack power are very strong, but he was beaten by Chu Ran. This kid is not right, he should be a hidden profession. The assassin rolled a few times and quickly got up to remind his teammates. You still need to say it. The next second, the warrior in the front row roared. His weapon is a big axe, which is now swung tightly. It collided with Chu Ran's boning knife several times, and his hands were numb. It turned out that Chu Ran saw that the mage was protected by someone, so he simply picked up the boning knife to chop the warrior. Help! Xiao Yu's face turned black, and he didn't dare to use large-scale lethal magic. He kept trying to harass with magic that killed him, but Chu Ran had suffered a little loss, so he learned to be smart this time, and stood almost in a straight line with the warrior. Every time the warrior wanted to dodge, he would be forced to move by Chu Ran with the boning knife, and was completely used as a shield. Xiao Yu almost hurt his teammates several times, and his expression became more and more irritated. The warrior was also very annoyed. Are you a man? Why are you hiding? Are I a man? Ask your mother. Chu Ran slashed with a knife, directly forcing the warrior to retreat several steps. This blow was too fierce, and directly split his giant axe. The warrior's face turned green with heartache, his Adam's apple surged, and he let out a roar. Boom! The ground under his feet suddenly cracked inch by inch, and invisible sound waves exploded. Chu Ran certainly had no time to dodge at this distance, and he took a blow with his arms. What a big tone! Feeling that he could still bear this injury, Chu Ran sneered, what's the big deal about having a loud voice? I'll blow you to death. His left eye suddenly turned into a deep purple. A wave of abyss annihilation blew the giant axe in the warrior's hand into pieces, and the armor on his body broke. It fell all over the ground. My silver-level armor! He screamed in pain. The next second, Chu Ran lifted him up with a knife, and his head flew several meters high. Get out of the way. I'm going to blow him up. Xiao Yu was so angry when he saw his teammate was killed again, and he was ready to chant loudly. When has he ever suffered such injustice as a T-Online Club wizard? Today, I must blow this little jerk into a firework. Captain, stop fighting. Boss, boss. Just then, the berserker finally couldn't help it and shouted loudly. Xiao Yu's eyes were red, and he said without turning his head, don't worry about your boss, you are the only one left in the front row, brush the chicken feathers. Wait until I kill him. Chu Ran glanced at the boss, carrying a chicken leg stick and shouting, hey, that guy, don't run away. The terrifying butler is going to run away. The berserker also shouted. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yu showed an expression of disbelief. The boss ran away. He turned his head quickly, and the other people also looked over. Only then did he realize that the terrifying butler had actually hidden behind the throne, and his figure was fading. What was going on? The remaining 6 people were a little confused. They had only been fighting for a few dozen seconds, and the boss should still be going through the motions. What was he doing? Was he in a hurry to get off work? This was the first time Xiao Yu encountered such a situation, and he was a little dumbfounded. Chu Ran picked up the boning knife and blew into his palm. Can I still let you run away? After saying that, he stepped forward to chase after him. The terrifying butler's slender body suddenly stood up, and he squeezed back with his hands and feet, and was already sticking to the wall. I don't know what it's afraid of. Now he's robbing. Cut him for me. How could Xiao Yu tolerate this? He waved his hand, and the other teammates hesitated a little, but still chased after him. In addition to Xiao Yu, the remaining 5 people, only the berserker and the assassin had melee capabilities. The remaining few were a scholar, an elementalist, and a healer, all of whom were auxiliary professions. They had no choice but to chase after him. After all, if you die in the secret realm, you are not really dead, so it is more important to let the captain vent his anger first. The next second, the scholar rushed too far forward and suddenly felt something was wrong. Why is the surrounding dark? What the hell? He looked up and was immediately pressed down by a red claw and beaten into a pulp. Boom! The big claw fell down, not only killing the scholar in seconds, but also sweeping to the side, knocking the elemental messenger out on the spot and killing him directly. The furnishings in the hall fell to the ground with a crackle, and the claws and arms almost occupied half of the room. The assassin and the berserker reacted quickly and dodged quickly. The only remaining healing profession widened his eyes. You. Bang! He was also killed. It's the Terror Lord, Xiao Yu said in shock. Who triggered it? The butler is still alive. Why did the Lord wake up? I don't know. Run away. How could the assassin and the berserker know who triggered the Lord? They ran out desperately. This is a SS. According to the rules of the secret realm, they should kill the butler and then trigger the door-opening mechanism of the Terror Lord to see this boss. Who would have thought that the butler was still shivering in the corner, and the Lord actually came out early? It's a mess. It's all messed up. This secret realm can't be visited. It's all messed up. Who ruined my dinner? The giant hand raged for a while, and a low and terrifying voice sounded from the depths of darkness. Ah, you overturned the table yourself, and you also smashed the floor yourself. Chu Ran looked at the mess on the ground and couldn't help but said, if I'm not wrong, it's you. The low and terrifying voice was silent for a few seconds. You ruined my dinner. I'm very angry. The giant hand suddenly reached out and grabbed the assassin. If you're angry, kill him. Why are you catching me? The assassin screamed in midair. Then, the giant hand retracted into the depths of darkness, and a chewing sound that made people's scalps numb came from inside. This kind of thrilling and unknown horror made the faces of the berserker and Xiao Yu look very ugly. The two of them didn't even dare to move now. It's really a matter of slapping them in the face to kill them. It's definitely impossible to beat them, and at present, running away is impossible. However, being dragged in and eaten alive was a way they could not accept. Chu Ran also felt that the Terror Lord was really angry, and said in a gentle voice, is it so serious? Then call the police. Little B, buddy, it's time now, don't argue with the boss. We just had a misunderstanding. Look, how about we join forces? Xiao Yu said with embarrassment. If you help me and let me leave safely, I will definitely be rewarded in the future. Really? Chu Ran shook his head and said, I don't believe it. Xiao Yu's face was black. This guy was a bit stubborn. But he didn't want to die in the secret realm, so he could only turn his head and look at the berserker. Berserker. Not Captain, why are you looking at me? He was a little panicked. Xiao Yu said with a pleasant face, I'm pretty good to you, right? The berserker nodded, then shook his head. Let's not talk about this for now. Even if I really go out and die for you, you may not be able to escape. Xiao Yu thought about it and it seemed to be the same reason. He couldn't help but feel a little irritated. Then what do you say? You can't even keep an eye on a boss when I ask you to. Maybe you triggered the hidden mechanism of the Terror Butler. Ah, this is my fault again. The berserker said speechlessly. If you weren't busy pretending to be cool just now, we would have started the boss long ago. This is still. Xiao Yu suddenly reacted when he said this, and couldn't help looking at Chu Ran. As a result, he found that Chu Ran pressed the Terror Butler to the ground and chopped him with a knife. The Terror Butler was like a little girl who couldn't resist, and the oil lamp rolled around beside him. This weird scene made Xiao Yu dumbfounded. Is this a boss? Is it louder than this when I kill a pig? Finally, the terrifying butler was stabbed countless times and finally turned into a cloud of ashes and dissipated. A 57-level boss died silently. And Chu Ran's body also lit up with the upgrade light. Finally, 60. Chu Ran wiped the non-existent sweat on his forehead and showed a satisfied expression. He was finally level 60. Not in vain. Level 60 reached. New skills obtained. Second job task triggered. Chu Ran glanced at his own prompts and was about to take a closer look at what the second job task was, but suddenly there was a sound of footsteps in the darkness. A 2-meter-tall man in a suit came out. He was wiping his mouth elegantly with a square handkerchief. He had a typical Western face, handsome appearance, and very decent manners. He looked like an old noble. After walking out of the darkness, the dark golden eyes stared directly at Xiao Yu and the berserker. Xiao Yu hadn't recovered from the shock of Chu Ran slaughtering the terrifying butler, and found that this man who looked like an old noble was staring at him. He was speechless. You can't bully people like this. That little jerk was standing next to you, and you didn't dare to look at him. He just killed your butler like he was killing a pig, did you see it? You should use your skills against him. Xiao Yu waved his staff, and he was almost numb. He had never encountered such a devastating thing. It doesn't matter if the boss goes crazy. Why do you still bully the weak and fear the strong? Is this because he knows that boy is not easy to mess with, so he specifically picked on us to pinch him? The berserker also swallowed his saliva, turned to Xiao Yu and said, Captain, I think, let's not suffer from this nonsense, shall we retreat? Are you the challenger this time? You are so weak. At this moment, the man who looked like an old nobleman spoke. He seemed to have not heard Xiao Yu's words and said with a smile, I have never seen such a weak challenger like you. Where is my butler? Xiao Yu's face was numb. He's dead. He died next to you. His head was pressed and chopped into pieces. Are you blind? The old nobleman's expression changed, and he glanced at Chu Ran from the corner of his eye. Of course it wasn't that he didn't see Chu Ran. He even noticed Chu Ran's existence from the beginning. However, as a boss and a boss with the title of Lord, he used to be considered a big shot in the abyss. Even if he became an eternal member of the secret realm, he still retained his wisdom. To put it bluntly, he has a brain and knows who he can offend and who he can't offend. Just now he smelled a very terrible smell on Chu Ran. Now I looked around with my peripheral vision, and even saw a terrifying shadow standing behind Chu Ran, staring at him with indifferent eyes. Praise the abyss, I'm going to be unlucky today. The old nobleman thought silently in his heart, and said to Xiao Yu, Challenger, take action. Ha ha, Xiao Yu smiled mockingly, you. He simply committed suicide. Exit the secret realm and don't get rid of this bird spirit. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.